Good evening. Happy Friday. I hope you've got the beers on. Welcome to the latest edition of the Endless Celts Podcast. We've almost got a full crowd tonight, but we're going to touch on our wee rewind series and look on the road to Seville, which is going to come up. But I'm delighted to be joined by Franny. First of all, how are you doing, Franny, mate? How's your week been?
All good. All good. Well, it was a bit of an easy week. I was up and down to London, so it was a quick week and stuff with work. But I just went all stereotypical and got the Sam McGuells in to talk about Seville.
I couldn't get any in the shop tonight, so I had to make do with the Stella.
I was actually thinking about trying to get a beer for each country that we played on each round, but then I was like, oh, fucking, I was thinking too much. Anyway, Roscoe, how's your week been, mate?
Aye, all right, mate. It's been dodging away in a wee job in Whitburn. It's finished for about 12 today, so I've had a wee bit of the afternoon to myself, and now the Wayne's actually having a sleepover, so I've got a wee empty, chilled out Friday night.
Ideal. Tony, what about you, mate? How you been?
All good, mate. Aye, good to be back on. Feels like it's been a wee while since I've been on, just the way the schedules went and availability and stuff, but absolutely no chance I was missing this one tonight. Absolutely buzzing. Yeah, it's a family affair tonight. Big sister's in as well. And this is going to be a special show. Can't wait to get started, mate. But yeah, all good. Good to see you guys as well.
Ideal. Right, we've got loads and loads to get into tonight, but I'm just wanting to discuss a few of the latest topics, conversation regarding Celtic before we go into the road to Seville. So, well, first of all, I want to thank the sponsors, Shana. I know the stuff's not, but there'll be a link in the description and all the rest of it down the bottom. You can get your discount code and all the rest of it. The stuff's brilliant. I think they're proper growing. Like you see all over social media, like some famous faces wearing it all over the place. So I get on that. The big news yesterday was the big rumour was that Jota's away to Saudi, or at least there's a fee being hashed out, and he's showed that some sort of interest in going. I just wanted to touch on it just quickly, Tony. What's your thoughts on it in general? I mean, I know he's a young man and big career ahead of him, but money talks.
Unfortunately, it does, mate. It's just something that we've kind of seen that more with managers recently in the last few years. Unfortunately, when something other comes calling, it can be hard to resist. It's more disappointing for me when it's a player, just for the fact that, especially at this stage in his career, it started off with Cristiano Ronaldo moving down there, and he's achieved everything he ever could in world football. So there's one last payday. That's absolutely fair enough. And you see more and more players for the Premiership doing it as well. But it's disappointing. Listen, I'd kind of braced myself for Jota potentially leaving in the summer anyway, but I thought it would have been more of a career move, maybe down south or maybe to one of the bigger teams abroad. But Saudi Arabia at this stage in his career, it's very disappointing. But hey, plenty of Benjamins in the bank for Brendan to reinvest in. So listen, everything moves on. It seems to be moving ever quicker now. But Celtic endures, and we'll be all right next season. Don't you worry about that.
Absolutely, Franny. I know you've got a bit of a different train of thought for most. A lot of people are flagging up that he's leaving, and it's sort of like Tony says, it's not really a career move, but you're more of the train of thought that it's you're not going to turn down money like that. And
I will say the money that's been bandied about or reported, I think they're saying there's like 192 grand. I don't care what age you're gone for that any longer. At the end of the day, I'm going for it. Celtic fan, I'm not your. I think it's hard to turn that down, that money, when I think he's probably on 20-30 grand at Celtic.
Max, aye.
And I do agree with what the boys are saying. Obviously, at 23, 24-year-old, it's definitely not a career move. He might struggle then to get a decent move off the back of that after he stays X amount of years. I think he'll struggle to get a big team, depending on how the Saudi League goes. If that suddenly somehow takes off with all the money, you never know. But for me, it's a no-brainer for him, money-wise. As I say, you can all act romantic and say he wants to go here, there, but the Saudis it's not just football. They're apparently got to buy tennis next, so they're chucking money at everything. They just seem to have bottomless.
Golf as well, aren't they?
They've bought golf. They're apparently trying to buy the men's tennis tour, and they're clearly trying to buy football. So It's disappointing, obviously, that where he's possibly going to. But I think on the plus side, it looks like we're going to get a massive fee for it. And then he's got to be driving a different Bentley every week. But
unfortunately. Ross, what's your thoughts on
it?
Right.
Listen, I can understand where Franny's coming from there, but my thinking is, okay, you can go there for the money, but like Anthony says, it's not a career move. I think he's still trying to build. Now, don't get me wrong, he's built a really good reputation at Celtic, but in terms of a European scale, I think he's still trying to build that. I think another year at Celtic and Europe. I think another year at Celtic in Europe, another like performing similar to how he did last season would put him, like, stand him in good stead, if you like. But I don't think we're going to Saudi. Okay, he's going to make that money, but he's not going to build his career up in terms of look at what he's done. You could look at it and go, look at what he's done at Celtic and then get a move to a good Premier League club. I don't think he's building his reputation anymore, no matter how long he spends there, because he's not playing against it. And don't get me wrong, I know there's big names going there, but they're not the best. They're still very good players, but they're at the twilight of their career. And I fully understand guys going to places like that at the twilight of their career for one last big payday. But for me, I don't get it. I think Jota, I mean, he says he likes to travel. Maybe it's to do with that, to see another country. But for me, at this stage of your career, no, it doesn't make sense for me. If you're going to listen, he doesn't need to go to the English Premier League. He could go to Serie A. He could go to La Liga. He could go to the Bundesliga. Doesn't have to be the Premier League. That's not the be all and end all. But for to go to Saudi, dirty cash, I want you. Dirty cash, I need you more.
Absolutely. I'm sure we'll touch more on that Monday. I just wanted to touch on it quickly. Just come right back to you, Ross. And Aaron Moy announced his retirement today as well. He was a decent servant for us in the year that he was here. And what a way to bow out with a treble. Aye,
listen, I said for long enough that I thought Aaron Moy would be a good signing. Even the year before he came, when it was sort of flirted with, I thought he would be a good signing then. I think he came in, he had a slow start. He was trying to build his fitness up. He had a lot of injuries pre-Celtic. Middle of the season, sort of middle part of the season, and then after the World Cup, he was absolutely outstanding for Celtic. And Matt O'Reilly had a decent start. I'm comparing him to Matt O'Reilly because they both played the similar position. But Matt O'Reilly had a decent start to the season. A sort of lull in the middle because obviously Moy came to the fore, and then towards the end of the season Matt O'Reilly came to the fore again because Aaron Moy had got injured again. But Aaron Moy played every bit as integral a part as anybody in that squad over the piece. He's not featured as much as a Taylor, a Kyogo, a Cal McGregor, things like that. They play most games. I expected Moy to come in and be a guy who wasn't first choice all the time because there's a lot of competition in that midfield. I didn't expect him to play the number 10. I expected he might come in at the stage of his career and play the sort of 6 role. But he came in and for me, the what do you call it? The League Cup final was absolutely testament to what Aaron Moy was all about. Yeah. He was a really good signing for Celtic. I don't care what anybody says. People can come for whatever position they want because people were underwhelmed. They can come for whatever position they want and say that he wasn't a good player. He was injured all the time. But Aaron Moy in the middle part of the season got Celtic through difficult periods or helped them get through difficult periods. He was integral in the cup final and he was a really good signing for a year. Listen, I think maybe injuries is the reason why he's decided to call it a day. But you could say maybe his body was giving up him a wee bit in terms of injuries. But if he could stay fit, Aaron Moy's a good football player. I don't think anybody can argue that. And if you do want to argue that, you don't know football.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's saying that he was world class or whatever when he was here. He was very decent and did a fantastic job for us, I thought. Franny, what was your thoughts on Moyes' tenure at Celtic?
I've very much similar to Ross. I mean, it's funny. I think it was round about the time he was announced, or pretty much due to be announced. Me, Ross, and John were doing the podcast, and I think we were linked to a young French boy for PSG at the same time.
Oh, that's right.
And the sort of well, Ross, I like the glamour name, so I was maybe wanting the young boy, but I totally understood going for Moy over an untested 19-year-old. I understood bringing, and I actually, if it was down to me, I would have brung Moy in before that young French boy. And I think the guy, for a free, when you consider he was a free transfer, when he initially came in, I mean, I'm on this podcast saying I was underwhelmed by the signing, but a wee bit of that's because he's not got a fancy name. That's the way I'm always with players. I prefer the guys that have got the fancy name at the end of the day, but I knew I trusted in my judgment. Seen him in the EPL and stuff, that I was like, well, if this guy shows anything like that, we've got a decent player for the time he's here. And I think his first sort of felt like he had sort of like 3 thirds to the season, like 3 different parts to the season. Like the first sort of third part of the season, he was kind of building up fitness and sharpness and stuff like that. And it just kind of came on to sort of retain sort of the ball and such, see games out and stuff. And then once he kind of got up to speed and things before the World Cup, it was absolutely brilliant and followed that on after the World Cup. Then I think it was maybe injuries and maybe too many games kind of just started catching up with him. Seen things on Twitter and folk are obviously seeing the comments. He had injuries. He's maybe got an injury in a back injury. That's probably played a major factor in why it didn't maybe it tailed after the end of the season. But like that League Cup final, it was absolutely brilliant in that. And I think as well, I think it was the Scottish Cup quarter final possibly against Hearts at Tynecastle where he scored after a couple minutes. I think that was the Scottish Cup anyway. He scored that one where it was just kind of drilled across and he just side-footed it right into the roof of the net. Aaron, as I said in the group chat earlier, folk that didn't rate Aaron Moyes a signing, take his name away, and if you just say that a Celtic player this season had 42 games, 11 assists, 7 goals from midfield, I think you're saying that's a good season. I think you're saying that's a good season.
Very well summed up, mate. Tony, your thoughts on Daddy Cool?
Big Daddy Cool, my man. Listen, it was one of the ones, mate. I wasn't surprised to hear the news, but that doesn't take away anything for what he achieved at Celtic Park. He was a player that the manager at the time, Ange Postecoglou, had wanted the minute he came in, just for reasons, other mitigating factors. He didn't come in season 1. He joined last season. The only thing that's underwhelming about Aaron Moy is his post-match man of the match interview. I would be very happy to never hear that phrase about a Celtic signing ever again, because I don't know where these thermometers get sold, but I certainly don't want one. He came in, as Ross said, with little to no pre-season. He did what we kind of thought we were going to do. He was getting eased into the team gently. He was coming on with 10-15 minutes to go, seeing the game out, recycling the ball, and doing it absolutely brilliantly. And he really kind of, obviously James Forrest rightly got all the plaudits that day when he got his hat-trick and his 100th goal for Celtic against Hibs. But that was when you really started to see Moy kind of showing what he could do as well. And he kind of just kept that kind of, nothing spectacular, but just get 6, 7 out of 10 every week until the World Cup. But then after that, absolutely outstanding. As I say, if I've had to pick my team of the year, he would be in it. Absolutely, no question, alongside Tatati and McGregor. He scored goals, he looked great. He's just got that kind of suaveness about him, but not a hint of ego. He's been here less than a year, signing off with 3 trophies. What a way to go. And wherever he goes, just wish him all the best.
Absolutely. What a way to bow out. This is going to be mental tonight. I was meant to be a wee 5-10 minute quick recap. But last but not least on the current news, if it wasn't bad enough, Angie's left and Jota's away and Moyes away, we've had that monstrosity home kit released today. I just want one word for each of you, Franny, on the home kit. Franny?
Shite.
Ross?
One
word.
Garbage.
Sorry.
unique.
Always has a positive spin. Aye, so we're going to wire into our Road to Seville rewind now. Lots and lots to get into. But we've kind of had a wee video made up that John's done a fantastic job with. And before we go into all the stuff, I think we're just going to fire in now. So this is our Road to Seville.
Honor for me to be the manager here. I'm telling you that now. It's an absolute honor. Honestly, it is an honor. And at the end of the day, I will do everything I possibly can to bring some success here.
Together we stand, together we fall. They came and they tried, we took them all. And now here I go, in green and white sombrero. Adios, Mary Hill. Sunshine in Seville. Buenos dias, amigo. Where the bars go, we follow. Can you feel the thrill? We're moving in for the kill. Senoritas and vino. That's East and Fandango. Far away from the chill, to the sunshine in Seville. They said that the dream was over and gone. Again and again, we prove them all wrong. The green, white, and gold flies proudly still, and always will, like sunshine in Seville. Buenos dias, amigo. Where the bars go, we follow. You feel the thrill. We're moving in for the kill. Senoritas and vino. Dance East and Fandango. Far away from the chill. In the sunshine in Seville. Green, white, and gold flies proudly still, and always will, like sunshine in Seville.
Wow. I think you'll agree. I think you'll agree that's I've watched that about 5 times and I still got goosebumps there and had a big smile on my face. It's just tremendous. So what a wee clap to John because he's edited all that and put that together and it's just absolutely fantastic. I think it's one of the videos that every time I hear a few beers and I'm sitting them on, I'm going to be putting on start green. But I mean it's the song that makes it and I'm just going to pass on to Ross because he's got a bit of information behind the song, and it's just like the images and that are everything. But that song just absolutely made that.
Aye, listen, I love the song. I've loved it for 20 years. Wee bit of the backstory of the song was, so at the Boavista game, the second leg, we were all over in my mate's house, and obviously at the final whistle, my mate's dad had said there was a lot of us in the house, and he just pointed at everyone and said, "You're going, you're going, you're going," and so on. And a couple of days later, I got the phone call. He'd managed to scrape together 17 tickets for the final, and he'd said to his brother-in-law, "You can come with us. You can come with us."
Scraping. You can
I know. That I was being sarcastic.
It was only a away game I didn't watch in Doxies, I think.
Was it? Aye.
I think I
God's
watched another one reason. Fucking the only one I didn't watch.
Well, so he'd got the 17 tickets, and he'd said to his brother-in-law, who is a singer-songwriter, he says, "If you write a song for going to Seville, you've got yourself a ticket." So he wrote that song. We all went along to Seville, and then off the back of it, I think it was the Carfin Supporters Club were having a night in Parkhead, and we got invited along, and they sold some of the CDs for charity and stuff. And you'll see a couple of the pictures in the montage there, and it was obviously I'm in it looking absolutely horrendous with a open neck shirt, but that was for that night. Obviously, I got my photo taken with Stevie Chalmers, George McCluskey. There was a couple of other guys I got a photo taken with, but that was the only photos I could find. But that was just the backstory of the song, and certainly I think so, and I hope everybody else agrees that it captured the thoughts all Celtic fans brilliantly in the lyrics and tune for that song.
Absolutely, mate. It's just magic. I get goosebumps. Everybody's talking about how outstanding it was. Joe said she missed the start because the notifications didn't work. Well, go back to about 15 minutes, I think it started, and watch that video, and then just come back to us. You'll not miss us talking piss for 5 minutes anyway. I mean, what a way to set up the show. I would just drop the mic and just walk off anew. Quite happy just to leave it be. But we're going to touch on our road to Seville. And what I thought, to break it up a wee bit, we're going to go through each round anyway and talk about each game. And then I want to get your thoughts on the game, obviously, and your analysis, and just your personal memories as well. But what I'm going to do in between is I'm going to do a wee quiz. So everybody in the comments as well, fire in your answers, and we'll get it going. You hate to bear with me because I'm trying to get comments up. I'm trying to remember what I'm doing, and I'm going to have to share pictures and stuff on screens. So bear with me. But we're going to go into the first game, which is obviously FK Sudova. And we'll just fire into this quiz first of all straight away. So what I'll do is the first one is just a straight question. Ready to go?
Let it be noted.
Pen and paper, right?
No, this is like competitive and all the rest of it, but I'm going to get you to keep your own scores, so just come on. Be good, right?
Right.
So the first question is, Henrik Larsson's hat-trick in this game made him the joint top goal scorer for an European competition for a Scottish side, but which player was it that he equalled? So he became the joint top goal scorer for a Scottish side.
In Europe?
In general, in Europe. He equalled somebody's record. Who is it? And for a wee bonus point, I'll give you a bonus point if you get how many goals it was that he equalled at the time. No, obviously, but at that time.
Wally, sorry, I just wanted. Is it for one Scottish club, or is it a Scots?
No, just it's
for
just
a Scottish club,
Scottish,
right?
Just Scottish clubs in general. It's just how many in Europe.
Sound.
Let me see if I can remember how to do this now. Let's see. There's people in. People are getting the right answers, but nobody's got the amount of goals as of yet.
Goals in Europe, did you say?
Yep. European.
Say the question again.
Right. Oh my Jesus,
Henrik
man.
Larsson's hat-trick. This has got to be a 4-hour show tonight, man. Henrik Larsson's hat-trick.
It's just to get this question.
Henrik Larsson's hat-trick in this game made him the joint top scorer in European competition, just for Scottish sides in general.
Right.
He could have played for like 5 Scottish sides.
I think I fucking clue.
Who did he equal? Who did he equal? And how many goals was it? Let me just get in some of the comments. I'll fire into them in a bit.
Just him, Pam. No toilet water was damaged, though, I can promise you.
Right. Second question is, right, we've got a wee picture here for you. So in the second leg, obviously we won the first leg 8-1. So there was masses of changes. This guy played in the game. Can you name him?
Is that Brendan Rodgers, laddie?
Aye, Steve. Kenny Rodgers.
Kenny Rodgers, aye. Kenny him.
Nobody in the comments for that yet. Aye, there we go.
I think I've got him.
I think I've got him.
I've taken an educated guess here, man. Well, I'm saying that. We'll soon find out if it's educated.
Right. And I did this in the World Cup quiz, and the guys went after nut for it. So
decided to do it again. He's in the lineups, man.
The lineups, is it?
And I bet it's a fucking second leg. Man.
It's a second leg lineup.
Aye. It was like a virtual reserve team.
I know.
And I've taken 3 players out. Hold on, I'll try and zoom in on this a bit.
I'm guessing the numbers aren't they right?
No.
Because McNamara's number 5 there. Fuck.
You see that?
I thought I had 9 straight after that there. Fuck.
Right, so Minnie's missing 3.
3.
So there's a centre half who's number 4, but it's no by numbers, obviously. There's a number 2, so the left wing back, and then kind of number 10. Monty, that's first team. This was the big changes in the second leg of this game because we were 8-1 up, so it's fringe players.
How gutted would you be if you were Big Bad John, eh? You're like, I was sending the reserves out, John, and you.
Kenny.
I need to look at that again. I wrote number 9, Maloney.
Even Gildy got a game, man.
Patrick, it's the return leg against Sudoku. Sudova. We won 8-1 the first leg, so this was obviously there was a lot of changes. Aye, Pam's telling you that.
Right.
I think I'm reasonable. I'm confident I've got at least
reasonably confident with the lineup there.
Nah.
Right. Okay.
Can't even fucking take an educated guess at them here, man.
So we'll just wire into the questions before we tuck into the game. So the first question was Henrik equaled the top goal scorer on European competitions for Scotland or Scottish clubs, and the answer was
McCoist.
Yep.
I was going to write McCoist, and I bloody tricked myself.
Who did you go for? Kenny Rodgers.
I just put Stevie Chalmers.
Got it. So there was a bonus point for how many goals it was. Alistair said 34. There's 35 here for Patrick. 28.
I said 9.
I said 17.
17. The answer was 21. So no bonus point.
What did you say, Ross?
19.
Half a point for McCoist. Ali,
you got a point. You got a point.
Full point for McCoist.
It was a bonus point for the goals.
I was going to say McCoist. What a tat.
Can't get that song out of my head, man. It's brilliant.
Kenny.
You've got the guitar there, man. Might serenade us with at the end. For UEFA students for copyright.
The lad pictured. Anybody?
Colin
Healy.
Healy, aye.
Colin
he was
Healy.
in the 11. He was in the 11 as well. Alistair
I know.
and Patrick.
That kind of
got
confirmed
as well.
it when I
These
seen
two.
the starting lineup. I was like,
Alistair and Patrick are always getting the people.
Aye.
Right. So let me have a look here just to double check what I've got. So, anybody know? Let's go for the centre half first of all.
I guess
I went John Kennedy.
Kennedy. Anybody else?
I went the same
Lawson. It
I
was
was
John
just
Kennedy.
thinking
Anthony.
It was Kennedy.
Was it?
Aye,
Was it?
well done. Aye, brilliant, Ross. The left wing back, I'm assuming it was a 5.
I went
Patrick
Guppy.
Jamie
Guppy.
Smith.
I went Jamie Smith.
It wasn't. It was actually Bobby Pettit, would you believe?
Oh wow.
Yeah, hell, man.
I know.
I just put these names in right at the
I
end.
know.
I picked two first teamers really, like Guppy and Guy.
And then we had the number. That's a good shout, by the way. Kearney was a good shout, but I don't know
Oh,
if he
David
was
Fernandez
Fernandes.
bloody
I
scored,
took-
man. He
I
fucking
took David
scored.
I
Fernandez.
shouldn't have put that up.
Fucking
Yep.
scored.
Oh well,
Patrick got it.
I
Fernandes.
kind of rang. I kind of rang.
Fernandes.
No, I can't
Even
believe I
better.
never picked Fernandez.
Well, I'm rang.
Monty got Fernandez.
And
So just a wee bit of fun there. Patrick.
Aye,
said
no,
Fernandes.
well
I said,
done.
I said Petrov.
Wee
Many
bit of
points
fun.
did you
3
get?
points there for the start, Wally. First round,
What?
I've got 3 points. 3 points for the first round.
3 points.
I've
got 2.
My boys, Colin Healy and Dave
Aye,
Fernandez.
aye, I've got 2.
Did you say David Fernandez?
He scored.
Oh,
He scored in the game.
Scored a
Ah,
pretty
I
good
Fucking
one.
can't believe that. That's just
Yeah.
ridiculous that you didn't get that. Totally ridiculous.
I know.
Well,
I put
anyway.
Ross Wallace.
That's some decent knowledge there, though. But aye, Sadova, mate, Franny, come to you first. I'm pretty sure that as most people, you didn't really know much about them. What were you expecting going into the tie?
I suppose you just didn't know going into these ties. Like you say, well, you don't know much about the team, but it's the first round, and the Celtic team back then was fully top players. So you're hoping that you take care of business and stuff. And I think the 8-1 showed that Celtic gave them respect, but respected them in the right manner. It was taking them serious enough, but it was, we'll show you we're the better team, and just blew them out the park in that in the first leg. And you say Larsson got a hat trick. I think Petrov scored as well on that day. Phil Haran scored, and so was a few other, I can't remember off the top of my head, but
Trying to think back, was Petros was a fucking belter on the volley.
a fucking beauty, man.
On the volley, aye. But it just, I think it was like 5-0 or 5-1 at half time anyway. So it was just game tie essentially was over after 45 minutes. And then the good thing is we went and just got another few goals in the second half. So just put the tie to bed in the first leg, which allowed all the changes that you've just shown to happen in the second leg and stuff. And you got the sort of the type of performance you expect in the second leg. Guys aren't kind of properly going for it. They're playing well reserved in that, but it was a totally professional performance, I thought, especially in the first leg. Showing your opposition respect, but also showing them at the end of the day that we're the better team and we've got to show you how better we are than yous.
Absolutely, mate. I'm still looking. I don't know if Monty's still trying to guess players. Alistair, I thought Alistair was doing the same, but I think he's obviously naming the goal scorers. There's that many, it's hard to keep note. But Ross, clinical, I think coming into it, there was a bit of backlash off the media that Larsson especially wasn't himself, he wasn't scoring goals. But I mean, they laid that to rest, didn't they? I think they were 5 up within half an hour.
Aye, I think Larsson had went through a 2-game goal drought.
2 games or something.
I mean, absolutely shocking by his standards, I suppose. But aye, listen, you expect to win that game. I mean, it was 20 years ago. I can't conclusively say I was expecting whatever. Do you know what I mean? But you know that Celtic coming up against Sadova, you're expecting to win that game. 8-1, you probably don't expect that. But Larsson, as you said, he put the doubters, if you could even call them doubters, to bed. He got a hat-trick in the first half. We were 5-0 up at half-time. And it was a really good way for Celtic to probably start off the back, obviously, going out the Champions League to Ball by the width of a post. But I don't know if MD's watched the stuff back, and you hear even the players, like I think it was Alan Thompson spoke about, like it was disappointing going out to Ball, but they went on to beat Juventus and teams of that like in the Champions League, so they were a really good team. So it wasn't as bad as what we probably thought at the time. But aye, to go and play Sadova, it gets your UEFA Cup campaign off and running, and it's a nice, easy game to ease you into it. And listen, we didn't expect to do what we've done, but we're going to get into it, and I'm quite excited to talk about it.
Aye, me too, mate. I can't wait. Tony, your thoughts on the game? Like the guys have said, I mean, what was Larson on a two-game streak? It's just ridiculous to think back, but just a phenomenal performance, home and away. We've not actually touched on away, but we were 2-0 away with the reserve team as well. But
it's the last time we won away.
Clinical and the away game as well. That magic yellow kit, which is up there somewhere, but with the green shorts, just magic. What was your thoughts on the game and the tie, and what's your memories of it?
Well, all I can say is, Willie, when I was sitting in the pissing rain that night as the goals were flying in, I just knew we were going all the way to the final. Tell you that straight away. It was one of the nights, mate. We obviously, as the boys have touched on, very disappointing to go out to Ball, and obviously at the time it was the latest disaster to strike Celtic. But as I said, they went on to prove what a decent side they were, and they've been pretty much mainstays, whether it be in the Champions League or the Europa League ever since that year. So, they're a more than decent side, and it just, it was Chris Sutton's effort right on 90 minutes, just shaves the post, and, if it goes the other way, you're in the group stages. If not, it's the UEFA Cup. But I know the boys are saying about the DVD, and there's a famous bit where Petrov apparently, tried to crack a joke the next morning in training, saying, we'll just need to go win the UEFA Cup now, and he's, I don't think some of the senior players were too happy, but it was like, well, we nearly did it. But yeah, I mean, first round, we've become more used to these kind of teams throughout our Champions League qualifiers and stuff. But Saduva, it was one of the games where you're like, they're just making teams up now as they go along. But we took care of business, and it set us up for. We had no idea what was to come, but it certainly stood us well for the next round in the Battle of Britain.
Absolutely. Listen, we all know we've slipped up before, and Basel was a slip up, and we've done it plenty of times in the competition. So you still need to take care of these teams, and it was a clinical performance, and I mean, what a team it was at the time. We're going to go through, obviously, so it's just magic, and the fact that you can field that reserve team, it was kind of a chance for us to see, the guys that are on the fringes as well, but. When I look at that reserve team, at the same time, I mean, we've still got a few first-team players in there. It's said to me that we weren't as stacked as I thought. I mean, our first 11 was obviously outstanding, but behind that, do you think there was much more, Ross, there? Like, nowadays, obviously, I think the game is maybe a bit more taxing and we need squad depth, but at the time, it was just keep playing the first 11 and they'll keep doing. But we didn't have, for me anyway, what do you think about the squad depth? It wasn't as great as you would, I think, back.
I think we spoke about it before. Like, certainly last season when we were talking about the squad depth, we spoke about it quite a lot, and we alluded to the fact that when you look back at teams previously, the drop off for the first choice to the second choice was quite stark. But at the same time, I've watched some of that. Obviously, the Seville campaign back, and I mean, Alan Thompson is top quality. Whatever you want to say, when he's not playing and Steve Guppy's playing, listen, he was a good player. A great delivery. Mm-hmm. There's not a great drop. Alan Thompson's a better player, but there's not a massive drop off there. But a lot of other positions in the park, you could look at the centre forward position. We've got Hartson, Larson, and Sutton. Sean Maloney comes in. I think he was a very good player for Celtic. He came up through the ranks. With a lot of young guys that they understood. What's that?
I thought I lost you there. Is that my connection? Did you hear him all right there?
I'm all right.
It must be me. Sorry, mate.
No, you're all right. There was with a lot of young guys that had come up through the ranks. Obviously, I'd spoke about Jamie Smith there. You had John Kennedy who would come in, who, by the way, was going to be a really good player. There's no doubt about it until he got that injury. Excuse me, but the drop off was quite big, but as you say, it probably, the game wasn't as taxing back then. But you lose Hartson, you've still got Sutton and Larson, Maloney's still there. But the squad depth, you have to say, in terms of depth, it's still good in terms of numbers, but the drop off is more stark. But then you could also argue, well, the drop off might be more stark because the level of player was so high. And I mean, it's that recency bias where you're looking at teams like the Rodgers team, the Ange team, and you're looking and going, you're trying to match it up, and you're like, this is actually no bad. This is quite close. It's closer than. And then you hear Neil Lennon talking in his PLZ soccer interview, and he gets asked who would win out of the Martin O'Neill's team and the sort of Ange team. He didn't even hesitate. And when he's like, no, they wouldn't beat us. We would have beat them. Absolutely. And at the time when he answered that question, I was like, well, you answered that quite quick. But then you look back at this campaign and you see the teams that this team beat and the players we had. We're going to touch on it. We went to Anfield. Listen, this team would beat any of the Celtic. No. This team we are talking about would absolutely destroy any team that has preceded them to date. Like I say, you talk about it and recency bias, and you're like, oh well, it's close, but it's actually no. This team were quality. They had players that were proven Premiership players that had done it down there, then came to Celtic. They were a brilliant team.
What if you take Henrik Larsson at that team?
That would make a huge difference, I suppose. It would, absolutely.
It would make a huge difference to any team, but it's just a thought, like, how massive he was for us, Tony. And it's interesting because when I was watching back, doing a wee bit of research, obviously I've got my memory, but I needed to go back and look at some stuff. And some of these guys don't get the credit they deserve because, like I say, I didn't realise how much a part like Mo Salah played. Some of the games, what he was doing was unbelievable. But these guys don't really get much, I say.
No, they don't. Are the sort of unsung heroes. You especially think of Salah's performance at Anfield. Well, that's the first one that springs to mind when I think of Salah, and obviously his fantastic goal in the playoff against Basel as well. It was he was one of the kind of underrated players. I think him and Steve Guppy, John Hartson all got unveiled the same day, didn't they? And obviously you're like, the big money signing for Coventry. The other, Steve Guppy, played his trade at Leicester City for years, and then you're like, then there's the decent guy for St Johnstone. It's not quite hanging, but then it just shows you that O'Neill was happy to parade them all and give them all the same kind of promotion. But yeah, the Ross is bang on. I mean, it's why I still go on about it. When I did the podcast, O'Neill's 11 versus Brendan's team, trying to say, and I think I end up saying at the end of it, Martin's team would still win, quite convincingly. And you're right, Henrik definitely would be a factor in that. But he was the last world class player to ply his trade in Scotland. There's never been one since. He was sensational, as we're going to obviously touch on more as we go through the draw. But yeah, what a player and what a team. I just really wish they won, because I think a lot of these guys classed this campaign as the one that got away, and they would have cemented their status not alongside the Lisbon Lions, because anyone that deems winning the UEFA Cup against the European Cup is absolutely violent. But it would have been a pretty impressive return for what he did.
I think we'll move on from there. So we went into the next leg.
What my like?
What my like? There it is.
Oh, I did like that one. Sorry.
So obviously we trumped Sudoku, and it sailed through into the next round. It was the first battle of Britain where we faced Blackburn. So, pens at the ready, we're going to have this wee mini quiz before we wire into this again. So, the first one is just going to be a standard question again. And it is, who was a Blackburn manager when the two sides met?
That question again, Ross.
Aye, Franny, I'm getting bursty tomorrow when I see you. Up at the Cove.
1.5 years, I'm getting a wee bit.
A wee bit edgy.
Confidence. This.
So we've got another picture question.
What was the question again? Read that again.
This man came up against us. Who is he?
Do we need first names, Willie?
I'm getting it anyway.
No, I'll give you if it's a
I
surname.
think I know it, the first name.
I think I used to try and sign this guy on Champ Manager.
Right, I need to remove that, don't I? Right, there we go.
Joey Barton.
All good. I'm trying to see if there's anybody in the comments.
I'm thinking about they're from the same region.
Aye, they are, aye.
Are they? I don't
Aye,
think they are.
aye, they are.
I could be wrong. If it's who I think it is, then they're both Scousers.
Oh, tidy. Right. So I obviously couldn't keep just going on with the
The
members
lineup.
of the Celtic team. The lineups.
Oh, he's went Blackburn team.
Fucking hell.
Oh.
So see if you can name
Nice.
these three missing players from the Blackburn side. This is the home leg, so we played them at
Home
home.
leg.
So we're missing the keeper, the left mid, and striker. You see that, all right?
Aye.
You need me to zoom in a wee bit. Is that all right? Can I zoom in a bit?
I was fucking at the game.
So was that?
It was only sort of a home leg that I didn't go to, man. Well,
I've
apart
got
from the
them.
away games.
I'm sure I've got them.
Nah.
Which is embarrassing that I couldn't get the Celtic one. I've got the Blackburn one easy.
Patrick's got the player,
keeper,
the
man.
picture.
Got the
Monty,
keeper,
you've
but-
not got the player. Patrick McLaughlin's got the keeper.
I
Brown
think I
Warrior.
might have them.
Nice to see you, Brown Warrior. Brown Warrior's got the keeper. Patrick's got the keeper.
I think I've got the striker.
It's all good.
Oh,
with me taking
Franny's
this
not
away.
seen the comments, by the way.
Nah, I've got them off, mate. I've got them off.
All right, Billy Liar.
I swear, mate.
Alistair's got the keeper as well. Right, he's all right with me.
I'm a good cheater, Ross. I'm leaving one answer out.
Good for
I'm
me
not
to remove
kidding
this.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
Mark, I'm pretty sure you might do better than someone here tonight, but we'll see. Right, so we'll just wire into the answer straight away, boys. The Blackburn manager, when the two sides met, I don't actually think anybody answered this in the comments. I think everybody's too busy going back and watching the video that I had at the start.
Good.
But it was
Maybe we'll go back and watch it.
Aye.
Graham Souness.
Graham
Soon
Souness.
as.
Aye.
Can I just say something here?
So
That's quite good, that one.
the picture was, I could bring the pictures back up, but I've got too much today. So
Aye,
the picture
it's
was
David
Thompson.
Thompson.
there we are, David Thompson. Alistair Jack got it. Well done,
I
boys.
was 99%.
It's got a P in it, Alistair. Alistair's wrong, it's got a P in it.
Patrick got it.
And he is a Scouser.
Monty, unfortunately, it's not David Dunn, but well done.
Oh,
Trips.
he could have maybe been the midfielder.
Aye, yes, aye.
I went for Matt Jansen.
This is interesting. Right, so the keeper,
Friedel.
Friedel.
pretty much everybody got that. Fairly simple, I think.
Class that day, man.
Fairly simple, I think. Brown Warrior got Friedel, Alistair, Friedel. If anybody else I missed, well done, Friedel. Left winger,
David Dunn. I never got it.
David Dunn.
David Dunn. Yeah.
David Dunn.
I
It is
never
not.
got
It's not
Franny,
David Dunn.
Anthony, I thought you went Matt Jansen.
it.
Oh, I just picked three players. I went, but Friedel, David Dunn, and Matt Jansen. They were my three.
All right.
By the way, nobody. Oh yeah. Well, obviously the two, Patrick McLaughlin and Alistair, are obviously going to get it. You'll kick yourself.
Oh, Damien Duff.
So
Damien Duff.
wasn't it Dunn?
Nah, Damien Duff.
Did Dunn come
came
on then?
Aye, you came on, aye.
Foxtrot.
And
I
the striker.
can remember David Dunn having a shot. Andy
Dwight
Cole.
York.
Oh,
Aye.
Tony. Oh, you went Jansen, didn't you?
I So the other one I Friedel, David Dunn, and Janssen. That was just the three I picked.
Monty's bang
Dwight
on.
York.
Dwight York.
Like what?
Andy Cole played in the away leg then.
No, he came on at half time, mate.
Oh,
He came on for
fuck's sake.
Austinstad at half time.
What a daddy.
Patrick McLaughlin, I need to do a proper quiz and have you actually on the podcast, mate, because you're bang on, you and Alistair.
Aye, but we know Alistair giggles.
So I've got 2 points for the other all.
Anybody
5 in
else?
total.
Back in it. Back
Right,
in it.
aye,
Back in it.
keep
I got
keep
3.
note of your scores because I've got too much on here.
Sound, I got 4.
But that was ideal. Aye, so pardon me. Blackburn, Tony, the Battle of Britain, and we had a decent first leg. I don't know, was it the first leg that Larson got interviewed at BBC? I always mind where he's interviewed at half time. He's like,
No, I was away, like I'm sure, was it not?
First half we were shit,
Yes.
but the second
Shit,
half we were.
That was the home leg.
I mean, it was a fair. I think the first leg, if I remember, was a bit of a hot start back and forth, but it was a lot of long shots on goal and stuff like that. But the big man, the main man, popped up again and got us a win. What's your thoughts on the game and analysis, and what was your memories?
Well, the thing was at the time, Blackburn were quite a well-fancied team at the time. Obviously, like Brad Friedel was tremendous goalkeeper. There's no two ways about it. And they were one of the teams, maybe a little bit like around that time, a little bit like Brentford. They were one of the teams that would always take scalps in the Premier League. I think they went down and I think they took points off that great Arsenal team at Highbury, and there were things like that. And
It's the same side that won. Did they win the League Cup under Souness?
I think they got to the final at least. I think you might be right there, Bill. But I think they were one of the teams.
I think you're right. I think it might have been a final.
They were a good side, no two ways about it, and they absolutely were the better team at Celtic Park in terms of possession and stuff. But the one thing I would always say, and it became infamous for the men against boys quote, but when you look back, apart from this, I mean, Friedel makes a great save, kind of for point blank for a diving header for Petrov, and I think it's either just before that or just after it. Big Rab makes a great save as well. But apart from that, Blackburn, it wasn't like Big Rab was, had like a Fraser Forster type performance to keep things at bay. They were the better team for holding the ball and singing it about and stuff, but it was way overrated the way that the way it was kind of skewed by the media that we were lucky to get away. It would have been a cricket score or anything like that, but we got the win, as Henrik, as he always does, popped up there for a corner. I think it was John Hartson wins the corner, or wins the ball in the air for the corner to start with. Friedel makes a great save, but it just falls to Henrik and almost hits off his knee and bounces up. And it's one of those kind of ones where only Henrik could score. And we get the 1-0 win, and obviously, as I say, the quote came out. And again, we're using the players as a reference, but you could tell that a lot of them were upped by it, because a lot of these guys had plied their trade down south before coming to Celtic. That was back in the time when a lot of it would go the other way around, rather than a couple of decent years at Celtic, then you're away. But at Ewood Park, it was completely one of the most one-sided games of football you'll ever wish to see at this level. We went down there and we proved how good a side we were, and that we more than that we always say, we're the big fish in the small pond up here, Willie. But if that opportunity ever happened, I don't ever want it to. I don't want to go to England, but if it ever did, we would be more than worthy of playing down there. We're a bigger club than most of these teams combined, and we went down there. We didn't just win 1-0, and it was 2-0. It was going on 5 or 6. They called Brad Friedel Superman. Henrik had kryptonite in his boots that night.
He absolutely did. Franny, just you touch on your memories and your thoughts on the games, both games that I realised. But I mean, Tony's nailed it there. As soon as I love it when we draw English clubs, because obviously this whole Farmers League and all the rest of it, and the absolute ignorance we get from that league there. I always love it when we draw them, and especially when we turn some of their teams over, just like we did there with Blackburn.
I know you're bang on that, and even back then, more so now. You still obviously got they look down in the Scottish game back then. Even though, like Anthony was saying, you were going getting your Chris Sutton's ex Premiership winners and stuff, top goal scorers in the APL and that. You were going getting the players, I appreciate he didn't have a great time at Chelsea, but you were still going picking these guys up for Chelsea, and you could compete with their wages. Bringing guys like Lennon and stuff, Alan Thompson up, who were top players. So when the Battles of Britain came up, you always liked them, and to show that you were like Anthony said, the big fish in the wee pond. You could really just show how good a team you were. It's not just you're looking good because of the opposition you're up against week in, week out. And my memory of the first leg, like Anthony said, Blackburn were the better team without really peppering the goal, so to speak. I would say Brad Friedel had the most to do. By fair play to Graham.
Aye, absolutely, Monty. Well done.
Right. Superb, Monty.
Brad Friedel probably had the most to do on the night and stuff, but like Anthony said, Larsson just bundled it in near the end, and it gives you that advantage and stuff going down there. And I think like going into the second leg, obviously Souness made the comments like the men against boys stuff and that, and it just had the total opposite impact for what I think he was hoping it would, because I think he's maybe thinking down on the home ground, a similar performance, you'll maybe make more chances, and then obviously go down there and I don't know, Martin O'Neill maybe just pinned the papers on the wall and stuff, and probably like that old cliche gave Martin O'Neill's team talk with that and stuff. And like we've constantly said, and if I'm quite a fan of open goal and things, who Cy Ferry and even Paul Slane were kind of in the youths, and with Celtic when Larsson and Thompson, Hartson and Sutton were all that they're there, and they said these boys were absolutely brutal. So I think that would have really irked them, kind of seeing they kind of statements, because they would have obviously, I mean, Larsson had played at World Cups and stuff, and Souness is coming out with saying this is men against boys. And I mean, the first goal, Larsson to get in, it's kind of fortuitous in the way that I think it's a gap that plays at infield, and Sutton just kind of helps it on, and Hartson slips, and so does the Blackburn defender. But Larsson's touch, and Friedel, like we said, was a top keeper at the time. It just kind of sits him down, and Larsson does what top strikers do, just dinks it over him. And then Sutton's header, it's absolutely frightening. That he had a good chance earlier on, a similar type header that hit the side netting for the opposite side not long before that one. It's like when the corner comes in and his header, he must be about 5 or 6 yards by the near post, and he just flicks it on and just does what Sutton does, scores. And it like Anthony said, it was going on any score for us that day. We could have absolutely put goals behind them. That was, and as soon as said it was men against boys, but not the way he thought it was going to be.
Absolutely, and sees wee face and he's in the dugout as well. It's brilliant. Alistair Jacks want to be quizmaster, so he's asked a question here. See if anybody can get it. Don't think anybody got it in the comments. At the time, only one English team had. I'm assuming that's a win at Celtic Park. Name the club.
Oh,
Leeds. I've got Leeds. Feel like it could be Leeds.
Patrick's came in with Nottingham Forest.
That's what I was thinking.
Man United.
Alistair Jack, the fountain of knowledge as usual. Well done, mate.
There you go.
But Ross, your thoughts, your memories. Us bashing an English team, it's always the best feeling in it.
Aye, well, they're no build as much now as they were then as the Battle of Britain, but that's exactly what it was. Blackburn, as Anthony had said, were a good side. And on the home leg, on the night, I was at the game. I can't remember much yet. I think I was maybe 2 bottles of Buckfast deep when I got into the ground. I can just remember getting off the supporters bus and shimmying up the side of into a wee alleyway and tanning a couple of bottles of Buckfast. But listen, it was not the greatest performance, and as you said, I think Larsson in his interview had said we were shit, and that's exactly what we were. We didn't play well. We got out of jail. The commentator even said that if Celtic can get a goal now when they won the corner, it would be a really good thing for them. It would be a good result considering what went before. Blackburn didn't pepper or goal, but they had most of the ball, and there's that men against boys comment again. That reverberated round the Celtic dressing room. But Graham Souness actually had said that in confidence, and like to his own players, and one of his own players leaked it. I think it might have been Flitcroft, but I could be wrong. He leaked it out. He said, like, obviously the manager said it was men against boys, and then we duly went down to Ewood Park, and it was men against boys. Graham was right. It just wasn't the way he was talking about. But we went down there and we played them off the park in their own ground. Celtic were outstanding that night. The guys have obviously touched on the goals. They played Blackburn off the park, and the fans, they have to talk about the fans behind the goals. They were outstanding the whole night. And at 1-0, you're looking at it and going, right, we have got out of jail. Blackburn did play us off the park, or they were the better team, certainly. Can we go down there to England, a Premier League team who's got a European spot? Can we go down there and get a result? If you go down there and get a draw, it takes you through and you're happy. But we turned them over and we beat them fairly easily. Yes, a borrower. No, I'm a borrower. But hey, listen, we went down there.
2 bottles of Buckfast has on you.
Oh God, aye, I'm a tit on the Heineken. But no, aye, we went down there and we turned them over on their own patch and we won on the night comfortably. And like I'd said before, how good this team was. As soon as I watched the highlights back of that game, I thought it's not even close. Like the teams we've got now, we're technically better. The teams we've got now. But this team was just a different level. And to go to a European final, listen.
Stop spoiling
credit,
it for everybody.
No, but credit to Rangers, right? They've got to 2 European finals since, right? But they never done it. I don't care what anybody says. They never done it in the fashion we did. They didn't beat the teams we did. This Celtic team would have wiped the floor with any of the 2 Rangers teams. And like Anthony said, they were trying to compare them to the Lisbon Lions. This Celtic team wasn't as good as the Lisbon Lion team, but they were a million times better than any of the 2 Rangers teams that got to European finals. And that's taking nothing away from Rangers. It was still a good achievement, but you can't compare them.
Scored in every
Absolutely.
round. I've scored in every round.
Aye.
Who did?
And by the way, we'll probably go into it, but we actually played every single round. We played at home in the first game.
That's what we did.
That's right.
Right, listen, Lindsay's in saying that Pedro's got a quiz question, but she's not put it up. Lindsay, get
Aye.
Pedro to put his
Type
quiz
it in, Linz, and we'll try and get the answer.
Mm-hmm.
You'll hate
Pedro's enjoying his retirement, eh? Normally he'd be on the night shift at this point. Now he's tuning into us on a Friday night.
Please don't say fuck or bugger.
Sorry.
You are live on YouTube. Please do not swear.
See you in Sunday, Peter.
He was running a bit daft last Sunday at the chapel.
Right.
Right,
Blue arse
sorry,
flea. Green arse flea.
So Nob in the comments. So I'm just getting rid of him first of all. Right. So here's the quiz question.
Yeah, is it Stephen?
Stephen, aye.
It was Stephen. I got rid of him.
What? Never even heard the Harry Hood, man.
Let's hear the John Stein sign Harry Hood.
I bet you Alistair or Patrick get that.
1972.
I'm going to. Well, he scored in
You're on Channel 4. Do not say fuck or bugger.
He was after the Lions, so I'm going to say 1969. And Willie Wallace came to heart. So
I'm going to say 66, and I'm going to say they signed him for St. Mirren.
I'll go 69 from Hibs. I know it's
72 for Queen's Park. I don't even know if he was manager at 72.
Check fucking Google.
Alistair says 69 in Sunderland. Sounds like a good weekend.
That's probably going to be right.
That sounds like a good weekend.
Anyway, swiftly moving on.
I might know the answer.
We actually okay. You sorted this beforehand, didn't you? You said Tony's like,
Did you say Clyde, Tony?
No, I got it wrong. I said Hibs, no, hang on, but I did think 69.
So not spot on then, Lindsay.
Patrick, as usual, he's got the club right anyway.
That's
Right.
unbelievable knowledge.
I
What
know.
age is Patrick? Like 406?
You must be. Either that or he's
Good
got
Him and
a
music.
Alistair.
I think Patrick's got a DeLorean. I think he just
Okay,
every time we ask a question, he just jumps in and goes, "Right, Scott." Just
Where
drives
we're
off
going,
back
we don't need roads.
So we disposed of Blackburn, and we moved on to the next round, which I believe was Celta Vigo.
Yes.
Mhm.
Am I right there?
Yeah.
I'm not, by the way,
It was indeed.
I got loads of free samples for work, and it's all this mad
Oh,
fucking.
that sounds like a punch Franny would throw in the boxing ring.
Loads of mad different citrus. Punch.
Citrus punch.
Sounds like an advert for some sort of craft or something.
My finisher.
There was actually been chat of Celta Vigo already in here. I think that Alistair said, "Yep, here it's here the best side we played."
Yep.
I don't know if you guys would agree with that, would you?
I would say technically, well, you
They gave us the toughest tie, certainly.
I think Porto, man.
I remember
Actually,
that.
Look at their players, man. You look at
Remember the
Porto's team.
referee?
Aye. No, I think he's talking about pre the final, maybe, but Porto were definitely the best team, but over two legs. I agree with Anthony, probably the most technical. Liverpool were on paper the best team, but Celtic Vigo certainly gave us the hardest or the toughest task.
Right, so let's go. So we moved on to Celta Vigo. So right, it's quiz time again, guys.
Oh, for God's sake!
Heads down, thumbs up.
eyes down looking.
The first one is just a standard question again before we go to the pictures. And the first question is: this was our first time in European competition beyond Christmas for a number of years. But how many
watched
years?
the documentary that said that.
How many years has it been? So it's the first time we got beyond Christmas. How many years had it been since we were last in Europe beyond Christmas?
It said it. I watched the documentary the day when it actually said that. Got to put 2 years in and scrub one out before that.
When you get the right one.
Well, I mean, they're miles out. There's what's that? 7 years between them. The 2 years I've picked. For some random reason, these 2 years are in my head. So I'll scrub one out.
Pam's giving you some good advice there.
Had he need
Right,
to
Anthony knows.
One's in Pedro.
Look at his wee Ken face.
I've already scrubbed one answer.
There's a lot of people have said.
No one close, but I don't know.
A lot of people have said that they were our toughest opponent, and this guy was a big, massive part of that. So name the opponent. It's a fair.
Oh, player, man! What a player!
Oh, for God's sake!
Is that not difficult enough for you, Ross? No.
Nah, it's a piece of piss. That one good.
Player or a football?
I think I remember this wee guy.
What do you mean?
You got an extra point for well, how many points is that in Scrabble?
I don't know. Ask Monty. Monty, how many points is it in Scrabble?
It's clearly not John Carew, then, is it?
I don't think it's that many, Ross. I'll be honest. When
Nah, you can't get it. It has to be. It can't be a name. It's got to be a describing word, a noun, or an adjective.
Welcome to Pointless on Endless Celts.
So yet again, I'm going to ask you to name the full Celta Vigo 11. No,
you
I'm
fucking wanker.
I'm not.
No getting this one. Like I'm just gonna make names up.
I'm not. Right, I'm not. I was only joking. So
Alright.
in the home leg,
I had Gustavo Lopez.
the home
for a
leg.
kick-off, man.
This is our first 11. Name the 3 missing players. Can you see that?
The
all right?
home
Let me zoom.
leg, Wally.
I
Yep.
think I know
Aye, it
this
says up the top. Aye.
Can you see that? All right. Aye. Is that too far zoomed in now?
I can see it.
So it's the left centre half of the 3.
one. I think I've got
The
this.
left full back, the left wing back, and the centre mid. This is about the point.
Larson,
This is
yeah.
about the point where he was like Larson's playing. He's playing with either Hartson or Sutton. Who are we going to pick? And then he decided, fuck it, we'll just start playing all three of them.
Scary.
Scary, eh?
Ah,
Martin's just put a spanner in my works there.
I can just remember for the documentary. I can't remember, but I can't remember what game, but it was obviously later on in the rounds. So one of the three of them had scored, and it was saying Larson at the point had scored, I think, 32 goals.
Cheers,
Hartson was on 24 or something, and Sutton was on 19.
Need to give
What,
Pam
at
a
this
big
point?
shout out.
No, at this point, no, mate. It was later on. I can't
was
remember
going to say,
exactly what game, but it was talking about one of the three had scored, and it was just talking about how many of the goals they had actually scored in the season at this point. And you were like,
he's done with that.
Aye.
Just waiting for Franny to stop talking.
I know.
I mean,
I'm only kidding.
podcast if you didn't talk, son.
I'm only
Pam,
kidding.
you're always in there, Pam, telling everybody like it. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for the support.
Thank you, Pam.
Cheers.
Right. Friends at the ready. So the first question was, first time in European competition beyond Christmas for a number of years, but how many years had it been? Anybody?
I scrubbed at 16 and put 23.
33.
I said
So Patrick
I went 23.
I went 23 as well. I scrubbed at 16 and put 23.
Danny
I
went
said
20.
33.
We all know who's. Oh, Patrick said 22.
Oh, I'm confident. Alistair Jack. Cheers, kid.
23 years is the right answer. Well done, Alistair. Well done, guys.
Did you get it right, Tony?
Aye.
Aye.
You're a dish towel, man.
I've no idea, Danny. The next
I don't know what
question
year that is.
no, but I don't know if the next question was who's this person. So unless his surname's Anderlecht, then we're struggling a bit. I'm not going to bring the
Benny
photo back
Anderlecht.
up again, but you know,
Benny Anderlecht.
I think it's pretty simple, isn't it, guys?
Benny McCarthy.
Benny Kassim.
Benny McCarthy. Patrick got it. Alistair got it. I think most people got that.
Aye.
What player he was in
Over
Champion?
Benny for Crossroads. And Monty. So the three missing players. So we've got the left centre half. Anybody?
Larson.
Ulrich Larson.
Larson. I'm trying to see who everybody.
I'm going to be, but I went Mialby.
Mark Nugent went Mialby as well.
Keep forgetting.
Patrick went Mialby.
I went Larson because I thought it was a bit ski whiff.
It was Larson.
Yeah,
Is that because I put Valhalla on the other side?
Aye.
Yeah, like this guy must be a left.
Where was Ramin Vega? Sake, man.
He was doing an and she fucked off back to Spurs.
The left wing back. Anybody?
Guppy.
Guppy. There's Petter here.
You know what I gave me Guppy?
Patrick Thompson.
I went Tomo, aye.
Aye, it's so difficult because you don't know who's. It was Steve Guppy.
Oh, am I getting 3 to 3? I could get
Maybe
5 out of 5 here.
Hessley.
5 out of 5 of this one.
Don't so sure he played on their side.
He played on their side, aye.
Benny Blanco for Monty's still going out with the Benny chat. And who was other centre mid alongside Neil Lennon?
Petrov.
It's going to be Stan the Man, surely.
I was tossed between him
Really?
and Lambert, but I went Petrov.
Really?
I went
Sutton's in.
Petrov.
Don't say Lambert.
Lambert didn't start all the games. Petrov didn't start all the games, so I was in between.
I was
Right,
it was
I
the two I
want
picked
that.
and I went
Yeah,
Petrov.
so he's pushing Sutton. He's putting Sutton in the number 10. So who's he dropping Petrov back or is he playing Lambert?
Oh,
he's probably- He's probably playing Lambert.
Back. That's how it went.
Nah,
If you're playing 3 up front, you're playing Lambert, aren't you?
Fucking
It was-
bang, ain't
It was Stan Petrov.
Yes!
Well done, guys.
So I've got 3
5
there,
out of
Will.
5,
So
man.
my point
5
total
out
is
of 5?
8 just now.
Mine's is 3,
I'm on 11.
4, 5, 6, 7,
We're trying our best, Danny. We're trying our best, mate.
3,
I'm on 11.
4, 5, 6,
And Celta Vigo.
9 I'm on.
Celta Vigo. So
That's helped me. I got 5. I got
a lot of people in the chat
That's helped me.
were saying, Franny, that it was our most. I think most people are obviously disregarding Porto in this chat, but on the road to Seville, a lot of people are saying that this was our most difficult tie. I think the scoreline probably gives you that assumption. But what's your thoughts on the? Give me your thoughts on both legs, your memories, where you were watching it, and like a wee bit of analysis in the game. I always remember the referee having an absolute fucking stinker that first leg. It's just like, remember that referee that does the run up and does this?
Aye. It was brandishing.
I'm sure it was a French referee or something. And I was actually at the home, as I say, I was at every home leg apart for the Saduva game. And so I was obviously at the game, and it felt like it was just your typical European referee. I mean, he was horrendous for both teams, absolutely horrendous for both teams. But at the time, I can remember him obviously my overriding emotion thinking he doesn't want the Scottish team to go through, he wants the European, wants the Spanish team to go through and things like that. But Celta Vigo over the two legs especially reminded me what Atletico Madrid are now. They were proper dark. It was the dark arts were coming a lot. It's just over the two ties, my overriding emotion with them was they just reminded me. I missed that comment. Totally missed that comment there.
Sorry.
I'm assuming Ross is laughing at.
That's how he's standing, man.
Got the 3-piece. Well done, Ian. That's a good part, man.
That is like, and they just reminded me, like, if I could describe them to a current team, it would be Simeone's Atletico Madrid team. They were proper, like,
quite similar to final, eh?
Aye, proper. Just knew how to sort of play your way through a game and sort of disturb the game and things. But like I say, the first it was a poor game. Like, it was very stop start, and it, like, was it Larson that actually scored the goal? Like, I can't remember who scored. Totally can't remember who scored
in the first leg.
Aye, totally can't remember.
Yeah.
Aye,
same again. I think it was an
in the first leg.
Baldy and Hartson gone for the same, and he's just at the right place, right time again. 3 yards out.
Larson in between the two defenders on the line.
Aye, that's right. Aye, because it was the keeper made a save in that, and it just kind of, I feel like it was the keeper made a save, and it just kind of broke to Larson. He jumped up and for the header or something. But it's just over the two, and obviously the second leg, I think
he does.
That's actually right. Obviously, I think it was somebody made the comment earlier, guessing the tape that Hesselou, I think he scored for Celta Vigo in the return leg and stuff. And you're thinking, oh no, maybe they did look a good team at the time and stuff. Technically, they were brilliant and stuff. And then obviously Hartson gets that goal. Just before half time, I think it was. Hartson scored, and obviously they score again in the second half. And but like they did have chances. They were the better team in the second leg and stuff. And I can remember, like, I think Celtic started kind of sort of kicking them a wee bit, just breaking up the play a lot and stuff. What I can remember in the second leg, I think the game ended when we actually, I can't remember who it was, but we gave away a stupid free kick, like for sort of attacking position. They were kind of making a break, and it was one of the challenges I kind of understood. We were just like, just take the ball and we'll trust ourselves to defend it. And then the referee let everybody set up. The keeper ran up and got in the box, and I think he just blew the whistle and like blew it for full time. And it was mad. And then all the players were on the park and everything. I can just remember it being a wee bit, as I say, just reminded me, if anybody that's maybe kind of remember Seville, or just not of the age that would remember it, if you imagine how Simeone's Atletico Madrid would react with that kind of idea, where a free kick with about 30 yards out, let the keeper go up, and then you suddenly blow the final whistle before the free kick's taken. Everybody was on the park. It was weird because it was not hinting. It like gave the free kick and was like, sort of let them set up. You see the keeper coming up, getting the box, they just blows the whistle, and it's like, all right, they've all been, and obviously we're happy, but they were.
Ivan Toney's that.
Probably I was. Remember this kid. But I on reflection, with the benefit of hindsight and stuff, I think when you they gave us our toughest task on the game. That was actually good, that joke though. But they definitely gave us our toughest over the 2 legs. Taking Porto out it, they definitely gave us the toughest task to get through.
Aye, saying that though, Ross, I'll come to you next. I want your thought. Obviously, again, just like every round, I want your memories, your analysis of the game, and just your thoughts in general. But when I was looking back there, I think that the 2 goals we gave away in that game were really, really, really sloppy goals. There was a few goals in this run-up, actually, we gave away sloppy goals. So, I think they were a tough proposition. I think the scoreline shows that. But at the same time, maybe we weren't firing on all cylinders going forward that game and not so good at the back. What's your memories of it anyway?
Well, just touching on what you've spoke about there, in terms of the second leg, the first leg, it was a bit of one of the forgetful games again where we didn't really play great. There wasn't much between the teams. But once again, like you said, well, if you take Henrik Larsson out of that team,
aye,
but do you know what I mean? Massive goals he got, and all very similar goals at home. Late goals inside the 6-yard box. He got it, but then we go to the away leg, and you're up against it in Spain. But that game sort of epitomised what Celtic were like away from home at that time in Europe in the Champions League. They never looked comfortable, and they didn't look comfortable. Listen, Hartson got a brilliant goal. He scored a brilliant goal in that game.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it's not a free kick. He rolls his man.
Aye.
But I think nowadays the referee gives a free kick because he's a big guy and he's being physical. I think he probably gives a free kick, but Larsson rolled his man brilliantly. But in terms of the game, we were up against it at 0-0. They got the goal. Then we got a goal for, you could argue nothing. Ulrich Larsson, I think it's Ulrich Larsson takes a free kick, and it's a long one. So I think somebody gets the flick on, and Hartson just rolls his man, and he just reverses his shot back. It's unbelievable.
I think he said since, Ross, I think he said that's his most important goal for Celtic. And he scored a lot of important goals for us. So that shows you how big it was. I
would 100% agree with that, because when you look at how the tie turned out, it was 2 each. To get that away goal, Celtic were up against it that night. Celtic
That's another thing as well, mate. I don't like this new rule where they've got rid of the away goal. I don't like it at all.
I understand why they've done it, but
no, I do, but I don't think it. I don't like it.
See, my issue with the away goal was
tradition, and I think away from home it is much tougher. And I just think that rule should have stood. Personally,
I understand what you're saying, but my issue with the away goal always was, right, if it then goes to extra time, and you've got the away goal, it still counts. It still counted in extra time. Do you know what I mean?
I know. I wouldn't. I would have changed that.
Aye, that shouldn't, because then you've got that extra half an hour to get an away goal. That's wrong. That's not a level playing field. But I don't mind it not being here. But listen, it worked to our advantage that night, and it got us through. But going back to what you said, his most important goal, I would have to agree with that, just in terms of how the tie panned out. Celtic, as I've said, they were really up against it that night, and probably, other than, we'll get to it, the Stuttgart game.
Ruining it again for everybody.
I know, but I can't help it. But other than the Stuttgart game, you look at it and you go, we pretty much, for the most part, played off the park that night. And it was, like I've said, similar to some of the away performances in the Champions League, in terms of like the way we never looked comfortable. But obviously, we never looked comfortable. But this time we got a goal. We still lost the game. In terms of the Champions League, if we lost 2-1, it wouldn't be a good result. But it looks, on the face of it, a really good result because of what we'd got in the first leg. But if that was a Champions League game, it would have been the same old story. And Celta Vigo were technically a better team than us. Played us off the park that night. But that steel, that desire, that powerful team, we managed to get over the line.
Yep, absolutely. Tony, what's your thoughts on the game? Your memory? I see you're drinking for a glass now. Classy, man.
This one's been in the fridge, mate, hence I can get a good head on it. You ever seen me pour one of them at Gracie's before, by the way?
No, have you? You're the worst
No.
pourer. Yeah,
Yeah,
in the
the
beer,
one.
in the beer machines, you're the worst
that's
pourer
straight
of
at the
pint
can.
ever. Aye. He's got it at a glass now just to prove all the people that are saying he was a borrower. It is a pint glass. It is a pint glass. But Tony, your thoughts on the game? I know, like we've kind of said the ref had a bit of a shocker in the first half. The first leg, sorry. I thought the 2 goals we gave away were far too easy, in all honesty. But tough game, and Hartson himself said that it was his most important goal for Celtic. Is that something you would agree with? Also, just touch on I know this is a lot I'm asking you, but touch on the away goals rule and how you feel about it now. That's not the rule nowadays, and if you preferred it before or after. I
suppose I'm for it when we go through and not when we don't, mate. But I have to say, all in all, I always preferred the away goals rule, because if it had existed back when Celtic won the European Cup, we also would have won the World Club Championship, because we won 1-0 against Racing Club here at Hampden, but then we lost 2-1 back over there. So we would have won on aggregate. In the end, it went to a third place playoff somewhere in Uruguay, and we lost 1-0, and Racing Club were deemed the winners. But if it existed back then, we would have got it. And also, if it had existed last season, then Rangers wouldn't have been able to have their poor imitation of a Seville run last season as well, because I can't remember which team it was.
Oh, that's right.
I think
there was a number of legs. I think there was a number of rounds, actually. I think there was more than one where they would have lost in away goals if that was the case.
Yeah. So I'm not right now. I'm not its biggest fan, but listen, when we qualify for the final in Dublin next season, through not getting through on away goals, then I'll be quite happy. But no, go back to the Celta Vigo game, mate. Yeah, we've talked about it. They probably were technically the best team. Obviously, Liverpool the most famous, and obviously when we come to them, we'll remember how good a side they were and some of the players they had. But it was definitely the season before we played against the likes of Juventus in the Champions League as well. So we started to get that feel for these big games. And Celta Vigo, of course, are not Juventus, but they're a streetwise team. And so often in the past, and you could actually argue for a lot of time since, we've been. But these are the kind of teams that have been our undoing. These teams that just know how to manage the game a bit better, shall we say. And it was one of those kind of nights. Of course, again, there's at no point do you think when you get through for that, my God, we could actually do this. But you just think, my God, like you say, it's nearly quarter of a century that we hadn't been in Europe beyond Christmas by that point. And so that in itself, I would agree with John, that the fact that is his most important goal for Celtic. But then again, he did score over 100 of them, so he's definitely the best placed person to make that decision. But he's perhaps got a more famous goal coming up that we're going to talk about pretty soon. But just in terms of John,
he's also got one that's in the top half.
Here's something, Tony, right? I was wanting to ask. You'll probably know. Right, and see back then, was it like the draw made every round? Well, how come? I might be wrong, but every first leg we were at home first.
Yeah.
How is that? Has that just been the luck of the draw? How is that?
Purely the luck of the draw. Because back then you got to remember, it wasn't even group stage first and then into the last 32 and all this nonsense. The UEFA Cup was straight knockout, and the name came out the hat first. That was it. It maybe changed down maybe at the semi-final stage, but certainly at this point it was Celtic versus Celta Vigo. So Celtic were first, home leg first, and that was it.
Mad how the luck of the draw. Well, the luck of the draw depends how you see it. If you'd rather be at home first or away.
It was one of the. I at the time, I quite liked it because it was always like, right, what we're going to do, and then we kind of knew what we were doing for the return leg. You kind of just got into that sort of that rhythm, almost that kind of momentum. To even the point now when we get in Europe beyond Christmas, and then when it says away at home first or whatever, I still see being at home as the advantage first, because that's what we did in Seville. That's been my outlook for 20 years. Mental.
That's an interesting thought, Franny. What do you think? Do you think it's better first at home, or do you think it's better coming back and try to get the result that you need? Because if you've been beat 1 or 2-0 in the first leg and you need the crowd behind you, is it better second leg, or do you want to do the job first, hopefully, and then what's your thoughts on that? Just as we're talking
I mean,
about.
I think back then, and lately as well, I think when the away goal was in, I always liked being at home first because you kind of knew if you got the away goal, depending on the scoreline, like Celtic Vigo game, and obviously when the Blackburn game and the Liver, like nearly every round it, we went in with a lead, so you knew if you scored away from home, you were not necessarily through, but you were giving yourself a really good chance if you could nick that away goal because you tain a lead over there. But now with the away goal being taken away, I'll be honest, I'm not really asked if you're home or away now, but for me, I think it was more when
I've got that kind of insight on sports team.
I know. I just think when the away goal was there, it was
big Stephen Thompson with the fucking quarter zip on. I'm not really asked. Either way.
Back when the away goal meant something, I always liked the home tie being your first leg. You gave yourself a better chance. You knew what you had to do in the away leg, so to speak. But now I don't really think it matters as long as you can stay in the tie, I guess. And then second leg, if you play away from home first, as long as you can go in with something to either defend or really think you've got a chance in the second leg with the crowd behind you. Right now, I don't think for me it doesn't matter anyway.
I think it's interesting. That's why I like the away goal, because I think if you got that away goal, there was a bit of I don't know if it's a sense of relief or and you kind of manage the game different. I don't know. Ross, what's your thoughts on the whole first leg, second leg at home thing?
Not got a lot of time for the boy, but what Franny said.
Ideal.
No, pretty much. I can't disagree with anything Franny said. It's with the away goal in, like you said, you then, if you get the job done or whatever you do, it doesn't matter. Whatever you do at home, you know what you've got to do away from home. So I kind of disagree with Franny on that. And then in terms of now that the away goal isn't in play, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I would probably still lean slightly towards the home leg because then you still know what you've got to do when you go away. The home leg first, sorry, but certainly with what we're talking about now with the away goal, getting the home tie first was more prominent. Celtic got it every time. They didn't always get the job done, but you always knew what you had to do when you went away.
Yep, absolutely. Lindsay's agreeing with Franny as well, which is terrible. That's at least 2 people agree with Franny tonight. This is not right. Stephen, I can't wait till the Champions League draw so I can just argue with you about this sort of stuff.
Always did, Stephen. Always did.
And then
we move
into
that's not what a tourist did on, but it wants the fucking wall hang.
I don't think we do clap opposition players. We clap them
clap certain opposition players that have reached a certain point in the game.
Aye.
Like last year, Luka Modric got one. Messi got one. I can tell you right now, Neymar never got one. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of way.
But they're doing it after the performance. They're not clapping them onto the park.
Exactly.
They're still supporting the team, and then the team are doing what they're doing on the park. It's not to do with us clapping. But you show your appreciation for a player that's been excellent over the piece and probably in that game, and they're coming off. But not before it. They don't do it before it, so that doesn't affect the game, in my opinion.
Nah, agreed.
Aye, let's argue about that next year with Stephen.
Come on then, Stephen.
Here he goes. Look, he's still in the chat. Right, I'll just leave that. Let's just fucking leave that chat for now. Anyway, right. Then we went on to
Stephen, the keyboard warrior, man.
Then we went on to Stuttgart. Stuttgart in the next leg. Pens at the ready. 3-minute quiz after this again.
Yeah, a bit of that.
There's Lindsay's got another question for Pedro, so we'll wire into that after this.
I think Pedro's on the shut enough the pap tonight.
You can't be a wee bit of shut enough, by the way.
He's obviously not happy with your
Did he
quiz,
play up
Wally.
front?
Listen, if
Did he play up front for
you're
Boa
going to drink
Vista?
the red wine, you might as well drink the pape wine. Do you know what I mean?
Did he play up
Coat
front for
their
Boa
own.
Vista? Boa Vista up
Shut
front,
off the park.
Shutting off the park, aye.
Aye. He got the first goal in the park head leg.
Right.
Wally had that as his question, Teros.
We come up
Well, you'll need to make another one up, kid. Fountain
Change that
knowledge.
now. Went into this leg, the first leg. Well, it ended up being both legs. With the worst news ever, that the King of Kings was going to miss the tie, and he missed it with an injury. But what was that injury?
Ah, yes.
Yes.
Bonus point for the team, Wally.
What?
Wasn't he saying it at the time?
Dun-dun. That's a wee clue.
Right, we've got a picture question again. We came up against this guy. Who is this?
Oh, speaking of champ, man.
Come on. It's fairly easy, I would say.
Hope you're not.
I would say it's a piece of piss.
I hope
See,
you're
I only had a PlayStation 1 back then, Wally. You know?
I get
Is
his
that-
beard.
It's so evil back
Is
in the
that,
day.
is that Pedro's fault? 'Cause
That's
he's in
Stephen's
that
beard.
night if you want
Let's
to
get
give him grief.
Stephen's beard.
Put it this way, it was a choice
Oh,
of a
don't get money.
PlayStation 2 or going to the UEFA Cup games.
I hope you're not wanting spelling, Wally, because I kind of not spelt his name right.
Well, I've asked you for
14
the spelling
points in
before,
Scrabble, kid.
You better get more than 14 with his name, sir, surely.
It's 14. I've counted it.
Dejan
It
Kulusevski.
surprises me.
Kulusevski.
And I can't ask you the
Ex-
Celtic team. So we've got. I can't ask you the Celtic team. This is the home leg.
Mm-hmm.
The Celtic
Uh-huh.
team again.
We've got 3 missing players yet again. I'm going to leave you with that
Oh.
for 2 minutes.
3 missing players. I can only see. Oh, aye. Sorry. Aye.
Right,
Right.
wait there. So, centre half. Right, I think I've got this, man. We can all hear Willie.
Aye,
It's like Frank Drebin in The Naked Gun, isn't it?
I've nailed the right back because he was fucking dynamite at about 2 games, man.
He's clearly he's clearly no got a door on the Gracie's bath toilet yet.
Nah.
Oh no, we don't do doors.
So it's almost like a wee bit of it's quirkiness now, isn't
Where we're peeing, we don't need doors. Sorry.
I thought it was quite funny. So.
I've got the team, the players for the team.
So,
I
well,
think.
I'm confident on 2.
I'm confident on 2 as well for I.
Centre half,
Right.
I'm confident on 1. I'm not great with these starting lineups.
You're the history guy,
position
kid.
players.
I
Sorry, mate.
You're the history guy, kid.
Aye, I'm more history than lineups.
I'm
mean,
paralysed by
this
exhaustion.
is for 2003, so it's history.
It's mental. I know we're going to crazy. I think 20 years ago. Still remember this run like it was yesterday. You know what I mean?
Aye, only because I looked at YouTube videos.
I'm back, guys. I love that Back to the Future reference, by the way. All good.
Yeah,
Yes.
man.
Okay, right, let's have a look at the comments as well. Lindsay, I'll come back to that Pedro question just as soon as we're done with this. So, let me see if anybody's answered this. Yeah. Larson missed this whole tie. What was the injury that occurred?
Broken jaw.
Broken jaw against Livy.
Broken jaw.
Look at this, Franny. You're up there with Patrick McLaughlin now with the knowledge.
That's how I was wanting the bonus point.
I can't.
I was at the Livy game that day. They were wearing that horrible purple strip, and it was like Henrik went up for it. It was like a totally innocuous ball and got his jaw broken. There was just absolute silence around the stadium. It was horrible.
I can't who broke his jaw.
See at the
Get a
time,
bonus point for Ken who broke it.
Actually, I
And who
didn't
did
know.
it?
I didn't know.
Lovell. No,
I don't know.
Lovell. I bet you Alistair knows, or Patrick McLaughlin knows.
Aye.
One of the two know.
Broken jaw, point. So who was the player pictured that we came up against?
Kevin
KK.
Aranye. Aye.
Tony?
Kevin Garani.
No?
The minute I knew the only Stuttgart player I can remember, I went for Alexander Hleb. But
Oh,
then,
for fuck's sake.
then Ross started talking about 14 points on Scrabble and that. So
Just
I
said
cheated.
Hoffelowski. Patrick's got it again. Kevin Karanye, he was a...
He was good in Champman. He was good in Champman.
always used to turn up late for training for me.
You obviously
Kevin Garani did.
Didn't have to worry about that. Fucking training.
And we've got the three missing players. We've got who we had the right centre half, didn't we? And then the right wing back, and then
Aye.
Who did we hit? The striker.
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 So, what do you think for the right centre half?
I went
Mialby. See if anybody's in the chat.
Pialby.
Patrick says Mialby. Monty Karanye, bang on. Mark Nugent says Mialby as well. It was not.
Oh no.
Patrick says Mialby. Everybody says Mialby. This is interesting because, see, I didn't notice until I was looking back at this stuff, but we rotated this team so much through this run. It was Jackie McNamara. It was right.
Jackie Mac.
Wow.
Jackie Mac.
Shite squad depth though.
But listen, like there's squad depth and there's 12 players and one of them's Jackie McNamara that can play anywhere in the fucking park.
Okay.
The right wing back, anybody?
I got
Silla.
Oh, it was Silla.
It was a Gat. It was a Gat, Ross, you're right. Ross,
am I right?
Aye, it was fucking dynamite both the legs, man.
Sorry, was I?
So was it a Gat?
Patrick says Silla. It was
Silla.
Aye. I knew he set up. Well, we'll not say that.
He set up Sutton's in the second leg.
That's a three.
Who's set up too?
Look at Danny just announcing their next three special guests.
Danny, who's playing where in that team? I just want to know.
Sybil's going to be set up, isn't she? Nobody's getting by Sybil.
Jim Kerr's going to be instrumental in the middle of the park.
Wow.
Ian, I was running a bath. And the striker.
I thought you'd put London's Burning on, kid.
That's just turning into damage. I love it.
Who's a striker?
Harpson, surely.
Maloney.
Oh,
Sean
no!
Maloney.
Oh. It was Sean Maloney, guys.
Oh, well, I didn't get it in right.
Patrick McLaughlin tells you why.
I got, a full house, kid.
I fucking didn't. No, you didn't, because Mialby was wrong.
Oh, Mialby was wrong? Oh, sorry,
Let's go through this. Mialby was
wrong. I apologise.
So I'm sitting on 10 points at the minute, Wally.
I'd already ticked it. Thought it was that. Aye. Franny's what?
On the ball, he said.
Franny's on the ball. He's had 3 beers and he's on the ball. He's still pulling you up. I'm not getting that right.
I know.
It's only because I'd guessed Mialby and got it wrong, so I was like, well, how can he be right? Fucking guess Mialby 10.
But it was Stuttgart. First leg again. We're at home. Yeah, you've got the worst news ever, Tony, that the King of Kings isn't going to play. He's been so instrumental on all the rounds leading up to it. Scoring goals for fun. But we still managed to do the job. What's your analysis, your thoughts, your memories on the game, on both legs, please?
There's an ultimate irony about it, Wally, that this was the only round, because obviously he then came right back into the next round and got back to his scoring ways, where Henrik wasn't available for any of the 2 games, and yet over the 2 legs, apart from Saduva, it was our highest scoring highest scoring round.
Say that, mate, absolutely.
But I remember we were talking earlier about the away goals. It was the first time that we conceded first. I think Stuttgart got a player sent off, if I remember correctly, and then they went up the park not long after that, got the goal, went 1-0 up, and you start to think, this is it now. Post-Christmas European football is maybe kind of normality going to start to resume. But then Paul Lambert, all his years of experience, and Sean Maloney, by the way, who was filling in for Henrik that night, brilliant little chest down for Paul Lambert. Beautiful little low drive into the bottom corner. It was one of the weird nights where we were shooting up the West End, the Jock Stein stand first. Now normally we shoot up that way in the second half, but we were shooting that way in the first half that night. Then right on half time. Sorry?
Why was that?
Toyn costs.
Aye, but nobody does
that. Toyn costs. He said it twice. Toyn costs.
Toyn costs. Fucking hell, man.
Toyn costs.
Punch bump.
That's up there with
But nobody does that the way. You toss the coin and you go, and whoever wins it goes, I will stay
well,
there.
You're going to have to do it for about 10 minutes.
Toyn costs.
But it was, and then Maloney straight after that, right on half time, gets the goal. Jesus, this is going to go down well, isn't it?
Time cost.
And then
I'm done.
for the third goal was just absolutely tremendous as well, though, wasn't it? It was for the impossible angle. And then I'll never forget the return leg when we were in gym. It was like a 5 o'clock kickoff or something. So it was one of the ones you had to be in for school quite sharpish to get the game.
School. Showing your age, kid.
I was still a young pup back then, son. And always mind my big brother Kev and my papa. Paps had decided he was leaving Granny in the house that day. He was coming down to us to watch the game. So the three of us watched it together in the living room in Meadow Crescent, and we made sure poured him a wee port and that. And he was in his element when we went 2-0 up straight away after like 5-10 minutes. Obviously Stuttgart came to the pack, but we went through and away goals, and it's again, you didn't start. It's maybe it's not until after the next round, but you start thinking at this point, my God, if we get a decent draw, anything could happen here. And then lo and behold, we get the most successful side in European football from England. So you start to think, maybe is this where the train stops? Didn't quite.
No, it didn't. Franny, what's your memories and thoughts on the game? Like Tony said, we're missing our main man, the King of Kings, but we didn't miss him too much because we scored plenty of goals in the game. And also, how the hell does Petrov get that in that near post? That's a cross all day, isn't it?
I think
it's a miss-hit cross all day.
I think he's drawing it back across. And hoping for the best. But obviously, when the news Larsson's got to miss, I mean, I can remember at the time, I'm like, well, as long as we can get by the first leg, I'm maybe not saying I'm not too bored about missing the second leg, but if you can go with a comfy lead, you maybe not miss him as much. But you obviously, after, I think it was about 20 odd minutes or something, that Kevin Karanye scored. So you're like, forever we needed Larsson. It's probably now we could be doing with a goal. And then lo and behold, Lambert gets a goal. And then Maloney, just like Anthony said, just on half time, like Lambert's goal as well in that game. I just remember him I think it was Petrov, Kenny just teed him up.
Such a good finish, mate.
Absolutely just drills it straight, just a wee dial back across the goalkeeper.
It's like absolutely, it's like everything you get taught as a youngster, get your head of the ball.
And
just make sure it's just a fantastic finish.
Just straight, absolute laces through it.
Lambert's strike was so underrated. He was such a good striker of football.
I know. But so obviously you've got to half time 2-1 up and that you've got yourself back in the game. Then obviously Petrov, he'll be claiming he meant it. Probably still claims he means it, but I'm with you. Well, I think he's tried to cross it, and it's one of the ones. He's got a really good connection, but he's got away with it.
It's a Shanky Lampard off the toe.
It's
the toe of the club.
I'm not having he's shooting for there. If you're shooting for there, and you're nuts if you're shooting for there, in my opinion. You're absolutely nuts. But then you obviously, I know. Well, we'll find that out now. But then going into the second leg, you're obviously confident. I was sitting confident, thinking, well, maybe don't necessarily need Larsson because we've got a 2-goal cushion here. Stuttgart's going to have to come out. fancy us to create one or two chances, and I would always trust somebody like Carson and even maybe Sutton or even Petrov just to take it. Hleb was quality. Like, he actually scored in the second leg, and then, like Anthony said, you're 2-0 up after 10 minutes, and you're like, this is absolute cruise control, absolutely cruising for here. And like as I said earlier, I got both legs, absolutely brilliant. Like his run to set up Sutton, it was just like a couple of wee sort of 1-2s and things out in the right wing up near the halfway line, and I got just doing what I got does with his pace, just absolutely does the guy for pace. Just takes a couple of extra touches where you're thinking maybe just cross it, but it just takes the extra touch, knowing that he's trusts his pace, and Sutton just sort of holds his run, doesn't quite run to the front post, makes a wee run to take the defender by the front post and just holds his run, and Agat just plays it across, and Sutton's got a tap in. And I thought over the two legs, I thought Agat was great, but then obviously Stuttgart score to make it to 2-1, but you're still going, well, we're still cruising here. It's 5-2 in aggregate, not under any problem. Then, like Alistair says, Hleb scores, and then somebody scores late on to make it 5-4. You're like, oh no, but you're still thinking, even if I get that goal, we've got the away goal, we're still going through because we've got the 2 away goals, but you're still just kind of like, I'm not so sure about this. It's just the nerves of Celtic in Europe, but they got over the line. And like Anthony said, you're starting to think we could be on to something special here, but then we get Liverpool.
Absolutely, Ross. What's your thoughts? What's your memories? And we touched on Lambert's finish there, but in that second leg, Tomo's header. I mean, what a finish that was as well at the back post. And we talked about it as well earlier about the kind of the squad depth, but and if you put Henrik Larsson in any team, you've got a chance of winning. But we didn't have him, and I mean, we didn't miss him. We scored enough goals to get by. What was your thoughts and memories and analysis of the two legs against Stuttgart?
Well, first of all, you're right. We didn't miss him. We scored 5 goals over the 2 legs against a really good at the time German side. The guys there have touched on the goals in the first leg. I'll just on the Lambert one, like you said, it's a textbook finish. He gets his head over it. He keeps it low. He drives it. What am I missing there?
About the mirror.
Trying to take some mirror at the Premier usually. Well, he doesn't, because every time he's walking away, he does the podcast and the mirror's not there, and it's a travel lodge, Danny.
Touching on the Lambert goal, the guys have described it well. Like you say, it was a textbook finish, head over it, keeps it down and drills it into the corner. It always reminds me that goal, his goal that he scored in the 6-2 game. It was at the other end of the park, but similar. It gets cut back to him and he drills it into that corner. Against Rangers, obviously, the 6-2 game. It was similar to that for me. And then the Petrov one, for me, I think he does mean it. I get what you're saying. It's ordinarily, you wouldn't go for that near post for where you are. But I can't remember if there was a lot on. Excuse me. But the way he was running onto it, I don't think there was enough room for him to get his foot round it to cut it back. And the keeper has edged away from the post, and he's offered him, he's left him a gap. And it's poor goalkeeping. By whatever way you look at it, it's poor goalkeeping. But for me, the way it was drilled, it was so hard, it was so low. I think it was very deliberate. I think he meant it for me. But
see, when you're saying that as well, sorry mate, just to interrupt, but there's not a keeper on earth thinking he's going to go to the near post there. So
exactly.
I think every keeper's going to go as if he's going to draw it right across the box. So
I probably got to gamble.
Aye, because they're trying to get that sort of half yard or whatever to anticipate what's going to happen. I think he fools the keeper, and I think it's a brilliant finish. But then you go to the away leg and you think, like you have said, we went one down. Anthony nailed it. It was my exact feeling when Kiranya scored. I thought, right, okay, this is probably the step too far now for Celtic. But the resilience, and they turned it round before half time. 3-1, we win. And again, it's that you know what you've got to do in the away leg. And for me, that was go and be difficult to beat, defend your lead. But we come out the traps and we get 2 absolutely brilliant goals and take the tie away, or so we thought, take the tie away for Stuttgart. And the brilliant goals, Agat was instrumental in that. It was I can't remember what one he set up now, but it's escaping me a wee
Sutton's
bit.
one. Sutton's.
Is it Sutton's one? He
Yeah.
did actually.
Aye.
He played the
By the
ball
way,
in
It's
for
like something
the.
to sit like I'm dancing. He like
Aye,
just
He
manoeuvres
does
in between
that.
defenders.
He does that sort of slows it down and then goes
Goes
like
again and-
Which he
Griffiths
didn't
did for the
get.
Sinclair goal.
See, when everybody thinks back, they think he just punts it 20 yards and chases it. He didn't. He had
Aye,
more
no,
than
he
that. And
didn't.
then the goal,
No.
we'll touch on the final, but the goal in the final,
Aye.
he doesn't hit the byline. He does that, what
Yeah.
you said, that wee shuffle, and then just fucking
Aye.
gets the ball in. He was a far
Just
better player than
finds
most
a
people
ball,
give him
aye.
credit for. Aye.
But he actually played the ball in for Thompson's goal as well, and I can't remember who
Hartson,
got
I think it
the.
was Hartson got a flick on.
Hartson got the flick on, and then Thompson comes in.
Mhm.
And by the way, you can't speak highly enough about that diving header to find that corner. Then we
It's
get the
textbook as
Sutton
well,
goal.
innit? It's textbook as
Aye.
well.
But you get the Sutton goal, and you're 2-0 up, and you're thinking, what the fuck? At that point, that was when I used to go and watch all the away legs in my mate's house, Ryan Docherty's. We used to go and watch all the away legs there, and then go out after it. But at that point, we're all sitting going, this is a very real possibility that we could go all the way, like as Fergus McCann would say, to the very top. But you're starting to believe then, in my opinion. And I know the guys have said, okay, we get Liverpool in the next round that will come to. But at that point, you don't know that, and we're 2-0 up in Germany. What was it, 5-1 in aggregate?
At the time, aye.
And we do fold a wee bit, and we just get over the line eventually. But you have to say, we earned a really strong lead, and we gave ourselves that huge, not even a cushion, it's a fucking airbed we gave ourselves. But it almost burst in our faces. But we got over the line and we move on
A
to Liverpool.
waterbed. There's a question for you, Ross. I think I've got to agree with this. As much as
it's got to be Larsson.
if Larsson went for 7 million, then I would maybe agree with you. But the fact that we got him for peanuts and what he did for us as a club,
I know
but
And you have to bring Moravcik into that bracket as well.
Oh yeah.
Aye.
But what did we get?
I think it was like
50
grand.
50 grand or
50 grand
something.
or something.
50 grand,
And
aye.
was he not a centre forward at Hibs? I mean, him and Martin O'Neill put him a right wing back. And what a
See, as soon as we got him though, I was like, well, this is going to be a good sign. And you could see in the couple of games he played for Hibs, he was too good for Hibs.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. And then we moved on to another. Oh, sorry, Tony. What were you going to say?
I just always used to find that he was a loan signing for Hibs, Wally. But then, like, Hibs fans were still booing him for leaving to go to Celtic. Like 5 years later, I just used to think, "Come on, boys, you really need to go over that."
It wasn't. It wasn't at Hibs for long, was he?
Nah, it was only a couple of weeks or something.
He signed for Celtic in the September. It was a matter of weeks, absolute weeks, and yet he was still getting booed.
As if he's been there for 10 years. I mean, come on, fuck. Right. Then we went on to our next battle of Britain, and probably our biggest test. Well, not probably, most definitely our biggest test in the run to Seville. We came up against the mighty Liverpool. There's a lot of people saying, everybody started saying, you guys were saying about Stuttgart, and that's when you started to believe that there might be a possibility. Monty's saying about believing after Liverpool. And I wouldn't disagree there, because this team, I mean, it's a mammoth team, isn't it? I don't know when did I don't know when Owen won the Ballon d'Or. Is it before or after this? So before this. And for me, he's one of the most underrated players in world football. The guy was absolutely electric. And we're coming up against a team of this. And the history book showed that we put them away. But we're going to go into the quiz
Michael
questions.
goal scoring record at Madrid was better than Ronaldo's and Raul's. Like
Was
goals to
That
game
wouldn't
ratio.
surprise me.
I
Uh,
goals,
Guy
goals
was
to game ratio
unbelievable.
anyway.
Guy
He was an outstanding
unbelievable.
footballer.
Aye.
Outstanding.
Unbelievable. Hopefully I've not left him out of the 3 of the 11 in the questions. So we're going to go into the quiz questions, the 3 quiz questions before we go into the Liverpool game again, as usual.
Okay.
The first one is just a straight question. In the home leg at Parkhead, there was a rousing version of You'll Never Walk Alone. Obviously, it's oh, you're all writing the name down already.
Yeah.
Obviously, both teams. This song means a lot to both. But there was a man in the centre of the park that led this sing song, and who was that man?
What a man indeed.
Yes,
Class,
absolutely,
man. It's class, wasn't it?
absolutely. Gives me
Celtic's
almost
centre forward, Craney.
gives me watching that with 60,000 fans singing that song, home and away. Fans.
They know, like Stoke
Gives
halfway
me-
through it was like, you let sit, like just like you're all brilliant or
He was
something.
just like, I love you, I love you.
I love you. I love you.
Almost. That's it. Almost gives me as much chills as our 5-minute video that we had before here.
Oh, aye, almost.
Almost.
How good was that?
Oh, it's unbelievable. If
But
anybody's
we're
jumping
probably
in
as well
now,
letting everybody know that like, I don't know if there's a chance that because of the footage and that, like, if you haven't seen it yet, for all the folk that have joined in, go back and watch it, because we don't know if it's going to be allowed to get kept up for a while. So, by all means, go back
get
and
back
watch
in.
it.
I think it's about 15 minutes in, guys. Didn't listen
15
after.
minutes it starts.
Just go back in there and get back in. Yeah. So, second question is, these were our opponents, and this guy featured. Can you name him, please?
Oh.
A lot of noises coming here.
Ouch.
It sounds like Monty and Stephen in the bath that are talking about
Looks like Lord Voldemort's nephew, man.
Ouch.
That's a
there's a
great
struggle
one, by the way.
here.
That's a great one.
There's a
by the way.
struggle here.
I don't know who the fuck that is.
Nah.
Make it too easy. There he's
I'm
talking
gonna
about
say-
Stevie. He's talking about Stephen Craney up front in that day. You just fucked it.
I'm going to say Vladimir Alamy.
I mean, he looks like he could be from the same region as fucking Smeetser, man, but
Let me see.
I'm
Let me
leaving
see in the
that.
chat. Let me see
nah,
in the
never
chat.
mind, mate.
Barry Manilow, Monty says.
Listen, it's as good a shout as any, to be fair.
I'm nowhere, man.
Liverpool had some yanging players. I mean, they were a great team as well, but they had some yanging players back then as well, didn't they?
Patrick, Ian, it's not him. That's what the guys are mentioned, but it is not.
Nah, I've no clue, man. Kevin. It's got to kill me when you tell me to.
Well, it surely will. Okay.
I've got it. I think
Have
I've
you?
got it. Aye, I think so. Aye. Just Google it.
Oh Jesus! I nearly clicked.
Just
I
Google
nearly
that.
clicked- actually nearly clicked leave studio there.
Oh,
So would have been left without a host. Bear with me, guys. Sorry.
That's
The next
fine,
question
that's fine.
is first 11 again. Again, this is a home leg. I can't go
He's
Celtic
done the
this time.
Liverpool team. He's done the Liverpool team.
Aye.
This is the Liverpool side that faced us at Celtic Park. Can you name the 3 missing players?
Oh, he's been smart because he's left that guy out.
Kenny.
What guy? What guy?
The guy in question 2.
Who's question 2?
Who's
The
no,
player?
No, he got subbed on by the way.
Oh, did he?
Aye, that's not a starting line.
Right. I've got
Aye.
number 9. I've got him. Oh, I've got the number.
Everybody's talking
7.
about their energy bills in the chat now. It's coming down. Don't worry. Don't stress. Where's he playing, Monty?
Ted Bundy. Left back. Who would have been left back for them? Oh, yes.
Right.
Yes. Got it. Got it.
I don't know. I think I've got the 3, but I might be wrong.
Absolutely, Mark. You're not getting a player of Sutton's quality nowadays for less than
100%.
40, 50, 60,
Yeah.
fucking 80
100%.
An ex-Premier League winner, there's no way.
Money's ruined football in that sense.
100%.
That's why I
No,
think
not
it's
for
hilarious.
discussion, that.
I said to you guys, I think it's hilarious that like say Carragher and Neville are slating Saudi for what's happening now, and that's what the English Premier League have been doing for fucking 30 years.
Exactly.
Aye.
You're absolutely spot on, Willie. I'm not saying that I endorse what the Saudis are doing in any stretch, but you've got to laugh at the absolute hypocrisy. I mean, they done it a couple of years ago, the moaning and whining when the Chinese were doing it with the Super League, and that kind of dried up pretty quickly. I don't know if it's going to be the same with Saudi Arabia. As I say, I don't like it, but the crying and crocodile tears for England over it is laughable at best.
Gary Neville
The only thing,
Newcastle bid something like 60 million on an Italian boy. They're literally owned by Saudis.
But the only thing I would push back on that is in terms of when England started pumping, when Sky started pumping all the money into England, at least they were a credible, a half credible league. They had a history. The teams,
but they weren't seen as the best league in the world.
No, of course not. But they still had. They were a football nation. They had history, the romance, FA Cup, all the rest of it. They had that. Like Saudi Arabia, have got fuck all. It's pissing me off, that shit. I'm not having it.
Listen, seeing 10, 15 years, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the biggest league in world football. But that's for another.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's a fucking team in the Champions
League. And if it is, football is fucked.
Yeah, that's for another podcast though. So, who led the 60,000 and arousing version of "You'll Never Walk Alone"?
Jerry Marsden.
Yeah.
Jerry Marsden. Nick McLaughlin nailed it. Alistair obviously nailed it. They two get everything. Monty said Barry Manilow.
No, he said that. Monty said that for the second question, to be fair.
Oh, did he?
The guy's a bell, like, but he didn't say it for the first.
Barry Manilow's better than my
the picture question, the Liverpool player.
Neil Razor Ruddock.
Oh, was that? That couldn't have been.
It wasn't Smeacher. Wasn't Smeacher, 100%. Definitely wasn't it.
Too tall for Smeacher.
If it was Smeacher, I'd have gone it wasn't it.
I'm hoping that's for the 3. I'm hoping that's for the 3 and the team know the. It was Igor Biscan.
Oh my god! I knew it wasn't Smeacher, but I knew it was like that. Region. That type of guy, that type of region.
Right, so we had in the team the Liverpool starting lineup. We had the left back. Anybody?
John Arna-Risa.
Hardest left foot in the world, man.
John Arna-Risa. Well done, guys. Well done, Patrick.
Yep.
We had the centre mid.
I'm between two.
I went Didi Hamann.
I went Danny Murphy.
Smeacher.
Oh, Ross, hold your answer.
Danny Murphy.
Hold your answer for right mid,
Ross.
I went Didi Hamann.
You go.
Talk about being underrated.
Hamann. Did you go? You go Danny Murphy centre mid?
No, I went Danny Murphy right mid.
Was Danny Murphy in the team already?
Didi Hamann was centre mid.
Right, well, I'm going to be honest here. I'm going to be honest here, right? Look at that.
Ross, I would give you Danny Murphy for right mid.
I wrote Hamann. So you gave me it. I changed it and said
where's Danny Murphy?
No, I said Hamann. Was the answer Danny Murphy?
No, the answer is
you get a point either way because Danny Murphy's the right winger. So if you're saying Murphy or Hamann, you get 1 point either way.
Oh, right,
Danny Murphy was the right winger.
I got 1 point because I went Finnan with the other one.
Alistair wouldn't
I went Danny Murphy.
Far away.
I went Finnan.
I'm on 13 points, Will.
Monty said Ted Bunty would be the striker. Let me just look through the comments. If he played for Celtic, Biscuit tin. But digging at the board, every fucking
I'm going for a P.
Every time.
for it, sir.
You wire in. I'll go to the other guys first. When Juve was right wing, aye. No, I think that was
Juve
it
was
was
it.
before Juve. I think, mate. Oh no, was
No,
it?
Elhaz
Did
Juve did play, aye.
Aye, he
Elhaz
played in
played,
the.
aye.
He played. But I think he might have played left.
Mhm.
Well, I just assumed Patrick. To be honest with you, he could have played right. But
Nah,
with
Danny
when I
Murphy
seen
played right
when I seen the lineup and I watched the highlights and Murphy was on the right wing more often
Murphy
than not,
played.
so I just assumed.
Well, I'll be honest.
Um,
I don't even really look at the positions. I just look at like who's the three missing and think right. Well,
Aye.
because you say the numbers didn't really count. So I'm like,
But we see
kinda
how
just go with-
see
go
Patrick
there.
McLaughlin's talking about just spitting. Who was the Celtic Vigo boy that spat in Hartson? What was his name again? Totally couldn't remember that. I'm sure he was
I don't
South
know.
African or something.
Don't know.
I'm
No
sure
idea.
somebody spat in Hartson. I need to Google that. Will Ross is
Kenny McCarthy was South African, was he no?
maybe it wasn't. South
Remember, there was a
African.
lot of jip with Celtic. Like the Spanish authorities were like quite. I'm sure there was some happened at the airport as well with Celtic fans on the plane. But it was like,
No.
I mean, the Daily Record were rubbing their hands in glee. It was like, oh, great, another anti-Celtic story. But it ended up being a total non-event. But
Tony,
I'm never going to let facts get in the way of a good story.
our second Battle of Britain, and for me, I can't remember who was in the rest of the teams that were in the tie at this point, but this Liverpool side must have been one of the best, if not the best. That rendition, "You Never Walk Alone" by Jerry Marsden, and the full stadium singing it, you'll never get. I don't think you'll ever get that again in football. And a magical first tie. I always remember Martin O'Neill's celebrations. I mean, he's jumping 17 foot in the air every time we get a result, and it's it was a tough game, to be fair. I think we were maybe on the back foot the second half a wee bit more often than not, and rightly so. I mean, the team that they had, to the likes of Gerrard, Michael Owen, for me, is one of the greatest football players that's ever graced God's green earth. And we kept him quiet, to be fair. And we got the 1-1 draw at home. And then obviously the second leg, I'll go down the folklore. And I think that Hartson's goal is one of the greatest goals we'll ever see in a Celtic jersey. And I think that if there was a compilation of goals in our history, I think that has to rank right up there. But Tony, I just want to know, again, same as previous rounds and what we're going to go into next, but your memories, a wee bit of analysis in the game, and another Battle of Britain that we managed to get on the right side of.
Absolutely, and you're saying what the memories are, Willie, and we're talking about, you know, the draws as they were getting made. I always remember that year, every year we used to go off the school bus, obviously on the main street, and we'd go into the commercial. It'd be me, Ross, John's brother, Phil. We always used to go in after the game on a Friday, because it was a half day, because that's around the time when the UEFA Cup draw was always made. The Champions League was always a Thursday, and the UEFA Cup was the Friday. And that it became part of the sort of tradition that year. You go in, who we're getting in the next round, and I vividly remember it was when we got Liverpool, and you thought, I mean, obviously the name itself, you know, they don't need any introduction, but obviously they'd won the tournament itself just a couple of years previously, and I just think at the time you did think, well, as long as we give a good account of ourselves, and obviously we played them relatively recently. In the year we stopped the 10th season, 97-98, we gave a great account of ourselves at Anfield as well, but lost on the away goal rule.
See, I hated Steve McManaman ever since then. That goal was top drawer, but fuck. And then every time I hear him commentary, he's the worst commentator I've ever heard. But even then, all I think about is that goal, and I just fucking hate the guy.
You always think, you were talking there about Michael Owen. The guy's won a Ballon d'Or, and yet we probably agree he's still underrated as to how good a player he was. You could probably agree the same with McManaman. None of the two of them helped themselves with how awful they are as a pundit. But, you know, on the park, absolutely terrific, the pair of them. But I remember I didn't get we weren't at the Liverpool game, and I always remember Channel 5 had the rights to the UEFA Cup back then, and it was... you think back to the great BBC commentators. I think... when you actually watch the Seville DVD, they use the BBC commentary, so it's Barry Davies that commentates on a lot of the matches. But in real time, it was Jonathan Pearce who
That's right.
He's not. I don't think he's a great commentator. I have to say, but
I like Jonathan Pearce.
I think he comes across a wee bit false for me. But the one night where I think he was absolutely brilliant was the home match at Celtic Park, because he captured. Robot Wars, brilliant. Anyone that I was always a Sir Kill-A-Lot or Matilda. Matilda was the best, the house robot. Or Shunt, Big Shunt was good as well. But I digress. But I think his commentary in the first minute and a half of that game summed up the mayhem that was Celtic Park on a European night back then. Obviously, I mean, John Hartson has a chat. I can't remember if he gets a fingertip to it or if it just hits the bar, but it's like a kind of looping effort after like 15, 20 seconds. And then a minute later, the ball's in the back of the net, and Jonathan Pearce, he says it's taken Henrik just 100 seconds and he's back, he's put Celtic 1-0 up. As I say, I'm not a huge fan of him, but that was one of the nights where I thought, no, he's nailed it. And like you say, Wally, Liverpool came back into the game, perhaps similar to Blackburn in the previous round. They were, on the whole, the better team on the night. And the fact that it finished 1-1, that you could see that it was a little bit flat at the end of the game, especially after the rendition, You'll Never Walk Alone, etc. The kind of adrenaline wore off, and you thought, it's going down to Anfield going to be one step too far. If you're going to go out, well, you might as well go out at Anfield. But none of us know what was said. It's almost kind of one of these legends that's grown its own arms and legs. But, all the players that played that night will always say that it was Martin O'Neill's finest hour before that match at Anfield. And I think the common gist there is how it's, they're Celtic. Yes, Liverpool are a great side, but you've got to realise what a great side you're representing as well. And obviously a lot of the players had played down south prior to the moves up north. And we went down. Of course, we rode the storm. Rob Douglas makes a brilliant save for Steven Gerrard when it's 0-0 as well. But you have to say, we won 2-0 that night. And it was a pretty comfortable victory. To go down to a place like Anfield and to be the better team, it maybe wasn't quite as dominant as Ewood Park because, Liverpool are a far superior team to Blackburn, but it was a similar sort of feel to the game as if, we're the big boys, we can joust just as much as you guys can. And, Alan Thompson's free kick, absolutely sensational. And credit, I know we've spoken about him briefly in previous rounds, but Momo Salah has a great game that night as well. But I think the night belonged to John Hartson, like you say, Wally. That goal, if you had to do a greatest hits, Celtic's long unbroken history, obviously the triumphs in Lisbon will obviously be at the top, but that won't be far off. It was a tremendous goal. Not just the build up to it, but the way he opens his body up. Jerzy Dudek beating him for there is no mean feat, but you could have had Jerzy Dudek and about 4 other Liverpool keepers in there, and they wouldn't even have got close to it. It's one of the all-time great Celtic goals, and it's just the fact the camera angle just picks out the Celtic end just in the corner, but then obviously the players all go around at the end, and it's just, to use my favourite word, Willie, it just looks absolutely biblical. I have to say that what Ross was dreaming around before, that was at the moment for me. I thought, my God, we could actually do this.
Aye, absolutely, Franny. Just want your thoughts, your memories, your analysis of the game. That Tomo free kick, he's not scoring that in this day and age, is he now? Because they've always got one plank lying down. But nobody ever did that back then. And do you think he meant it, or do you think he's just trying to put the laces through it and he's just miskicked it? But your whole thoughts on the two legs, first of all, and it's probably the biggest scalp we had on the way to the final, isn't it?
Well, it's definitely the biggest scalp. Well, I think probably, I can't remember the teams at the start of the tournament, but Liverpool were surely favourites at the start of that tournament. So it's definitely probably your biggest scalp. And he's obviously not caring what I tell him.
I'm listening.
I was joking.
If he doesn't push into the water, he'll hear you.
I know. But I can't concentrate because of what you've just said, boss.
Sorry.
I certainly in the first like I mean it's fairly obvious we totally came out the traps, and like I said, Larsson scores in the first couple of minutes. He's just returning for his injury, I think, as well. And you got off to the absolutely great start. Now, Liverpool they're blessed with a lot of good players, like we touched on earlier. You had guys like Sammy Harper at the back, Jerzy Dudek, Danny Murphy, even to an extent. Gerrard, obviously, maybe not necessarily his pump, but Gerrard just kind of coming into the Gerrard that was an absolute superstar. Didi Hamann, I think, was really, really underrated. I thought he was a top player. Then you had obviously Michael Owen up front and Emil Heskey. Like, I think the two, for all Emil Heskey's flaws, him and Michael Owen up front together were absolutely brilliant. And I mean, Emil Heskey goes on to equalise in this game and stuff. I think he was, off memory, I think he was a chance he was missing. I think
they were the England strike force as well.
They were actually. You're right, Ross. And I think, like, almost Emil Heskey had a tricky start to his Liverpool career, but I think at this time, him and Michael Owen, probably a lot to do with the England thing as well, were playing well together. And so it was, I think there was a risk he was missing a game, but then obviously he managed to make it. Then he gets Liverpool back in it, and you're thinking, going down to Anfield, you're like, oh, well, it's one each. It's a tall order to turn this round to get us into the semi-final. Maybe this is just the step too far, so to speak. As much as after the previous game, I'm sitting thinking we can maybe do something here, but to go down to Anfield, I mean, I thought it was an absolutely brilliant game for the neutrals. I thought it was, for me, what I can remember, it was fairly even, I think, especially pardon me, especially the first half. Dietmar Hamann had I wouldn't say it was a great chance, but he had a great strike that just whizzed by the post that Brad Douglas was absolutely nowhere near. I mean, not many keepers would have got near it anyway if it was on target. But he had a great shot, and then Brad Douglas had an absolute wonder save for a Steven Gerrard volley as well, that just looked anywhere but the top corner, and Brad Douglas just managed to get a hand on it. Similar to, I don't know the Lazio boys player, but similar to Fraser Foster's save against Lazio just fairly recently. It was that kind of effort. But then obviously you get that free kick. There's arguments, was it really a free kick? I think it was a free kick. It's a great spot by the referee where Trieri's just kind of had a wee tug on Larsson. Not a lot. I mean, Larsson doesn't actually claim for the free kick, but you get the free kick, and Larsson does.
Nah.
But it's only about 22 yards out or something. But then Thompson feels like I feel like Thompson takes the free kick for about 35 yards out.
It's not. It's further than that, surely, is it not?
It's further out than where the free kick actually was.
It looks like it's miles out when he hits it.
It's miles out, but if you actually see where the foul was, it's Thompson takes the free kick from nowhere near where the foul was.
Oh, really?
But I think he does mean it. I think he's actually tried, like you asked earlier. I don't think he's trying to like hit it over the wall. I think he's trying to hit it with pace, but keep it fairly low. And I don't. It's hard to say if he deliberately means to keep it under the wall the way he does, but it possibly does. I think it's one of the ones. It's just before half time. He's probably, as a fan, you're sitting saying, "Well, it's a wee chance before half time. Just make the keeper work. Just give him, make the keeper save it. Worst case, and Dudek's just he's motionless. He just stands there, and you go into half time. You're like, well, we know what Liverpool's got to do. They've got to come out, as I say, the away goals coming in. Obviously, if Liverpool get the goal, it's then potentially going to extra time. But then the second half, Larsson has a wee sort of I think he has a wee half chance where he almost controls it too good, and the ball breaks up, and he just sort of hits it with his side foot. Dudek comes into no man's land, and he just tries to sort of get his foot round it to direct it towards goal, but can't really do anything with it. And then I think Hartson has a couple of half chances. Maybe Sutton has a wee chance, but then you get that one where, like, Hartson's goal, he plays a nice 1-2 with Petrov, I think it is, and then he just takes that extra drop of his shoulder, takes that extra touch, and just hits it right in the top bins. And now Ross will tell you, my dad is horrendous to watch the game with, and he wouldn't watch it. Wouldn't watch the game with it, so I had to watch.
What do you
the game.
mean he's horrendous? How? In what way?
Mate, honestly, see 10 minutes, he would have had once every. See 5 subs. 5 subs isn't
Change
enough
it.
for my dad. 5 subs isn't enough for my dad. My dad
So
needs
it's
about.
just Stephen
My dad needs about
Thompson,
20.
Tomlinson in disguise.
My dad needs about 20 subs. Honestly,
It's not
Five-
working. Change
I
it.
was just about to say that, Ross.
3.5
It's not
minutes.
working. It's not working. It's not working. Dad, I've not kicked off yet, sir. I've not kicked off. So he's that guy. He's just proper, just emotional. He can't control it. So he kind of refused to watch the game. I think he thought we were going to get beat. He's the total negative. He'll not say a positive in anything really when it comes to Celtic. And I can just remember, obviously, when Hartson scored, I think he'd obviously heard me shouting upstairs and things like that when things were happening in the game. So he was occasionally flicking over to check, keep an eye on the score and things. Like even to this day, my dad will not watch a Celtic and Rangers game. He'll occasionally flick it over or something. He'll go and sit upstairs and my mum will sit and watch it herself and things like that. So he's murder. And then honestly, I came running downstairs, and because it was one of the ones that you're running downstairs to go and celebrate with my dad, I was like, I didn't know what to shout, and I called John Hart. So I mean, John Hart's never got to listen to this, but if he does, I really apologise, John, because I called you a fat bastard, a ginger bastard. I gave him everything. I just didn't know how to celebrate the goal. When I was running into the living room, my dad was like, "What's happened?" I was like, "We're up 2-0. We're up 2-0." But it was just, honestly, it's one of the best. It's one of the strangest goals I've celebrated in the sense that I just abused the actual goal scorer. It called him every derogatory term I could think. It was the weirdest celebration ever, but what a game that was at Anfield.
Unbelievable, mate. Absolutely unbelievable. Ross, aye. See, before I go on to Ross, I totally forgot. See, when I was doing a VP there, I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, I've totally forgot. Lindsay said Pedro had one last question.
Oh, aye.
And I've actually had to scroll up during that.
I'm going to pay for that.
Scrolling up and just I hope everybody's, by the way, thank you so much, everybody staying with us for 2.5 hours in, and it's no stopping anytime soon. It's going to be a bit, we've still got 2 rounds to go through, so I really apologise. But Lindsay says Pedro's final question is, 3 days after being eliminated for the European Cup semi-final against Atletico Madrid, Celtic went on to win 9 in a row at what stadium, and what was the score?
I think we clinched the 9 at Falkirk, which would have been back then Brockville. I might be
But your
wrong.
dad's Pedro. It's no fair. Your
Let-
dad's the guy that's asking the question. He's telling you these stories. My dad's a Rangers supporter.
My dad doesn't watch the game, so I've just told you.
Go for it, Tony.
Listen, that's a legend, Franny. Brilliant. No, I think it might be Falkirk, but Ross, contrary to popular belief, I'm not 100% sure.
Anybody else?
No clue, mate. No clue.
I'm just going to say.
Park.
I'm just going to say it was Albert Kidd.
Albert Kidd.
Well, I'd love to give you the answer, but Lindsay will have to tell us.
If she's
Lindsay will
still
have
there.
to tell us at Pedro's. But Ross, your thoughts on the Liverpool game? If you can summarise it, I mean, it was a bit of a mixture of emotions, but aye.
Well, the guys have obviously been over both legs there pretty well. I'll miss out the home leg because we all know what happened. It was 1 each.
I think the biggest thing about that home leg, sorry, for me, mate, is how quiet we kept Michael Owen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, see, if you look at the highlights, he's not even involved.
One chance he had, and it should have been a corner. Rob Douglas saved it, but he didn't get the corner. But by the way, I'm not going to touch on the leg, the home leg as such, but I'm setting the hot tub.
On yourself, Lindsay. Alistair says
Oh,
to the
God.
question, 1-0 for
aye, listen. We had some good home results in this run. We had some decent home results in this run. But I don't think we ever lost, if I remember rightly.
No.
Right?
No, we didn't.
We done
you're
this
right.
run. We done this run. We got to a final of a European competition. We never lost at home. We played some really big European teams. And we done it all without a Celtic end or a Green Brigade We done it with
Oh, Jesus Christ.
good footballers and a good team on the park, and fans getting behind that team. Celtic end, whatever you want to say, they bring all the stuff, but at the end of the day, it's the team on the pitch that brings the success. I've said it before, and this run is testament to that. But anyway, we went to Anfield then at 1 each. Anthony said it was, I think he said it was fairly comfortable and it was similar to the Blackburn game. I don't fully agree with that. I think Liverpool, but listen, we limited Liverpool to shots from outside the box, other than I think it was Emile Heskey had one just round about the 6-yard line and he skewed it by the post. But it was a difficult chance, it was a difficult one to take. But to get the goal on half time was perfect. It was the perfect time to get. It's always the perfect time to get a goal, but it's the perfect time to get a goal at Anfield. Yep, we've all been. Aye, 90s were really tough. I've said it before. I feel your pain, but to get that goal right on half time, unbelievable. It was for to have the 1-1 draw at Parkhead and then to go up 1-0 in Anfield. It's what dreams are made of, really. And then
that goal,
you think you're dreaming at that point, and it's a great goal. The guys have touched on it. At that time, nobody tried that. Alan Thompson done it. Dudek didn't move. And then you're sort of you're managing the game pretty well off memory. But then we get into the second half. Liverpool, they've all touched it. Gerrard had the chance. Heskey had the chance. There was Hamann had the one by the post. There was a lot of good effort. Celtic had chances. The one that sticks in my memory is when Henrik Larsson picks it up on the right hand side and it bounces and he just hits it in the half volley right into Hart. Arrows it right into Hartson. He just doesn't get over it enough.
It's right on his head, too.
Aye, but what a ball that is. To just go right there and just smash it on the half volley right into his head, though. He doesn't need to move. He just doesn't go over it. But they were outstanding that night. And then, as I say, we thought we were in dreamland when we went up 1-0 right on half time. But John Hartson, he just touches it inside. A guy his stature, build, whatever you want to say, is no right to do that drop of the shoulder, knock it inside the guy. But then the next moment is it was like going to fives with your mates and you're looking for an extra man and your dad comes along and he drops the shoulder and rolls back the ears and puts one in the tap. See, that's what it was like. He'd no right to do it, but he done it and it was outstanding. And we were in, like I say, I watched all the games in my mate Ryan Docherty's house down in Bathgate, and we were in his house that night, and we all went completely nuts, falling all over his living room and stuff, and went out after it, went up to the Volunteer in Bathgate. It's not a pub I frequent, but we went there that night, and it was absolutely bouncing. And at the time I was about 18. So I've never seen, honestly, I've never seen a pub like it. It was a Thursday night. People don't go out on a Thursday night generally. Like, I went into that pub that night and there was folk on the tables and everything. It was pure carnage. And we went there and then we left there and we went to Club Earth and we thought, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened in our Celtic watching lives. Went to Club Earth. Oh, believe me, I did. But all I'll say is, I never made my work. I never made my work on the Friday morning, and I walked into my mum and dad's house on the Friday morning, and my two sisters and my brother were eating their toast and tea before they went to school, and I says to Mum, I've not made my work. Absolutely bailing she was. Just strolled in, slinked up the stairs, I went to bed and lay there and just thought about everything that happened the night before. It was unbelievable.
I've not made my luck. It's actually needed a clue.
Hopes of daisies.
Just in case you didn't know. Brilliant. I mean, that game and Hearts and School in particular, I think it's going to live in memories for forever and ever and ever. But we're 2.5 hours in, guys. I so apologise.
This is Ross just getting warmed up.
Thank you so much for just for sticking with us. We're not even that's us. We're only at the semi-final now, so there's still a wee bit to go. We might break the 3-hour barrier. Really, really appreciate you all staying with us. But quiz time again, semi-final time. Boa Vista. He's ready?
Aye.
Try and get through this. So Larsson had a penalty saved in this tie. But what was the name of the keeper that saved the penalty?
Oh.
That's fine, I've got that.
Stephen Craney again.
I think I've got it.
Aye. I seen you Googling, Franny.
I think I've got it as well.
You can see it in the mirror.
All died. You're right. You're a beautiful human being. Beautiful. Great character.
Love it.
Paul, I have to say that's a smashing avatar pick.
Is he?
And he looks the part, doesn't he? There's no two ways about
it. This man made a sub appearance that night.
Oh.
I think it's Franny writing his name down. But what was his shirt number?
Oh!
That was outstanding, boy.
Pam, we love you. I'm going to touch on this a wee bit at the end of the show, but we love you. We love the fact that we've got a wee community here and you're opening up. Take care of yourself.
Love it.
But we'll touch on it later on.
Yep.
What was his shirt number this season, anyway?
Oh, for fuck's sake. I
it.
was fucking feeling good about myself getting the guy's name there, too.
Franny, you know I need to get a shirt number question.
Paid £1 million for him to. Mental.
Signed him for
That
Man
wasn't the
City.
question, Tony.
Man City. City Group, man. City Group project.
Georgie
Again.
Kincladze.
Fucking Lowell.
So it is. It's Georgie Kincladze.
It's Finidi George.
Finidi George.
It's a
White
private joke
Finidi
there.
George.
Private joke there. Right. Boa Vista at home. This was the starting lineup as usual. Give me the. I've not put it up. There it's there. The three. I love you, Pam.
Husty.
Aye, I'm
So who's
fucking
the
this
three?
one, man.
Who's the three missing players? Boa Vista, mind.
Husty B.
How was that this
Come
game,
on.
T?
Very good
mate.
question.
Aye,
Then
you
they
also had
shouted
a
the team
fringe.
out, and every player I went, yay! And
You had a fringe. You had a fringe back then, too.
me,
Aye.
I was a fucking spider fringe kid. Wasn't a proper fringe. Even at 19.
Big Dancer still wins the funniest ever patter on Facebook that day, the way.
Oh, fuck.
Right, that photo of you and Gary out, and you've got the you've got the hair all brushed forward, and you were like, "Was that you at the Fringe Festival?"
Are you happy
Aye,
with me?
he's done
Remove
me
this
that
now,
now.
aye?
No, I'm
No?
not ready. No, I was
Oh,
too busy
wow,
playing
wow.
them there. I was too busy playing them. Right.
Stephen Craney, Paul
What we
Telford.
go? Right.
Okay.
Alistair, you've got the keeper. Well done, mate. I'll put them up.
The keeper?
when
The
we
keeper
go through
missing?
them. No, the keeper. The first question you fucking
Oh,
don't.
right,
Aye,
sorry,
right,
I was
aye.
going to say, because I couldn't see the I can't see a question.
right.
Fucking Dairy Lee Dunker. You ready, Ross?
No.
Fuck me, Ross.
Fucking hell, we're about 4 hours, 20 minutes now.
I know.
This is
Fine,
longer
I'm
than the
just
actual
thinking.
Seville run.
Stop talking so I can think.
It was actually less time played in the whole road to Seville than there is this podcast.
And I'm going to
Oh.
go away.
Paul's saying what keeper? Paul, the first question was Larsson missed a penalty, or should I say had a penalty saved? What was the
Right.
name of the keeper that saved it? Done.
Ready now.
Right. Let me get rid of these. I'm the tech guy. Fucking yes, man. Right, the first question was Larsson had a penalty saved. What was the keeper's name?
Pedro.
Ricardo.
Oh, it was
Pedro.
Ricardo.
Ricardo. Tony.
I couldn't mind his name, but it
Oh,
something
so you
stung to
never
me
got a
for
point.
with what happened when the penalty was missed, and the answer I gave
Here
was
comes the lies.
sake, man. Wasn't
Alistair
him, no?
Jack says it, so it's definitely true. Ricardo was the keeper. Well
I
done,
said
Ross.
Pedro. I thought I was like, oh, Anthony calls his not Pedro.
Second question was David Fernandez. Came on
It
the
was
game.
I.
What was his
So I
shot number?
scrubbed David Fernandez out and put 20.
20.
I went 26.
26. Tony.
37.
He was number 20 at Livy.
Ah!
And Tony, I think when he first signed, he was number 37. But his squad number at this point was number 12.
Oh, well
that's-
done, Alistair.
Well done,
Jackson 5.
I think it's safe to say I'm not winning this quiz.
Look at this. Alistair's getting fucking... Alistair's throwing the beef out. He's like, Patrick, you're my main competition. Who's the fucking keeper then? What keeper? Who is it? Oh, sorry, that's an uncomment. Look, what's the keeper? Tell me. Who is it? Right, the three players that are missing, we had the... What was it, the left centre-half?
I went Wilson.
You
I went
Lewison again?
Valharn. I went Valharn.
I was between them, but I went Wilson.
Valharn is the answer.
Ah.
Yeah.
Left wing back.
Guppy.
Thompson.
Oh,
Thompson.
no.
Thompson. It was Alan Thompson this time.
Oh,
Yeah.
no. I'm having a shocker.
And striker.
Hartson.
Hartson.
Please give me something.
I'm not giving you Sutton, I'm giving you Hartson.
Well, I guess that
It was
I mean-
Hartson. Well done, guys.
fucking 1 point.
Full house for the wee Roscoe fella.
Oh, aye.
That's my first full house.
Franny, I'll come to you. We had,
I'm on my 40s.
Not
we had
quite.
Boa Vista. And I don't know about you, but this tie for me, both legs, I was just like full of.
Are you asking here?
Franny, full of proper anxiety.
That's
Like
fine.
the whole, I did not enjoy the game, either leg at all. It was just pure anxiety. What was your thoughts, your analysis, and your memories of the game?
The first leg, I think it was like you say, there was nerves and anxiety. I think, and the team as well. While it was not a great game of football for Boavista. They played like the typical away team that would do. They just tried to kill the game a lot, stay in the tie and things, which they're well within their right to do and stuff. And they made it hard for Celtic. And obviously Larsson's penalty miss doesn't make it easy and things like that. Obviously, like you get that chance, you're like, oh well, here we go. It's a chance to take the lead, but nah, today, like I say, my memories actually had an absolute mind blank on the foot because Auchenhank is the away leg. It just how
Just
like
pure anxiety.
it was. It just
I think
wasn't
they
a
were,
great game.
and it seemed like they I don't know about your thoughts on Tony yourself as well, but it just seemed like they were just sitting in thinking, I'll take a 0-0 draw. We don't want to concede, and that was it. And it made for a bit of it wasn't the best watch.
Nah, it wasn't. It wasn't the best watch. And then going into the second, I can always remember Martin Neal's comments after the second leg, saying that they got kind of what they deserved, so to speak. He was like, even in the away or their home game, they never came out to actually try and win the game and stuff. And at the end of the day, they got what they deserved. Again, the second leg for 77 minutes wasn't a great game of football. But then Larsson just does what Larsson does. He has that wee bit of confidence, commits defenders, tries to play a wee 1-2 with John Hartson, but gets the break of the ball. The defender tries to stop the 1-2, but inadvertently plays the 1-2 with Larsson. And Larsson just gets a toe poke on it. Ricardo, Pedro, the goalkeeper, gets a hand on it. he gets it. He really should save the shot. I mean, Larson does all he can. As I say, he gets a toe poke on it, gets a good connection on it. But the keeper, he really, that was their backass. He really should be getting it. But honestly, I can just remember one of my sort of really good memories of that game is just seeing Ricardo after that goal. He was almost in tears, absolutely fuming. I think they knew at that moment that they were done.
I think that moment in itself showed they were just playing for the 0-0 draw.
They were happy with just going through an away goal, which is, they're well within their right to do. It's one of the advantages they had of having that away goal. But I think it just their whole mentality that we see it all the time. If you're going to try and defend the leader or whatever, and then the opposition score, it just totally changes your game plan. But when you've been defending for the best part of 80 minutes to try and just salvage a 0-0 draw, but 1-1 in aggregate, try to just salvage the draw to go away in away goals, and then the opposition team score, you've then got to try and get yourself up to then go and try and get another goal to stay in the game. And not only that, it's a semi-final of a European competition. You're then trying to get yourself up for where the opposition Celtic have now got their tails up. And what I can remember watching the game after it. It was one of the ones that I've just got to a European Cup final, and then you watch it and take it away the emotion of the game. That last 10 minutes, I don't think we were ever in any bother. I don't remember them making any chances. Obviously, watching it, you're an absolute bag of nerves. It's like the 10 minutes felt like the 2 hour. Well, not that this is dragged on, but it felt like it was 2 hours 45 minutes. Like that last 10 minutes, it dragged and dragged and dragged. But as I say, exactly that. It's one of my best memories of that game. Is you just knew, like you touched on, Wally.
Love you, pal.
It just his reaction showed that they were just playing out the draw, happy to go away through an away goal.
I think so.
But it was Larsson's goal there. Just the commentary. Me and Ross I don't know where the CD is, but I can remember being at a Green Night, and we've got a CD, and it's got that commentary for that game.
Nuns, guns, and rosary beads, kid.
Aye. The commentary just going, and it's Larson, and it's absolutely brilliant. It'll live in the memory of guys like ourselves for a long, long time to come.
Aye, absolutely, Ross. I get just come to you. Your thoughts, your memories as well. Where you watched the game, it's probably the away game is what's his name, Ryan Thompson's or something. You mentioned 14 times.
Dockery.
Oh, Dockery, yeah.
But your just your memories again on the game. I don't know about you, but for me, both legs, it was just pure anxiety and stress, just pure worry about getting through. And I mean, Franny's talked us through the goal in the second leg, but I don't know if any other player, I don't understand how he does it. It's his standing leg, and he sort of like shuffles and flicks it through. I don't know how any other player does that in world football. He takes a touch and then he kind of. I don't understand how he does that with his left foot, because that's his standing leg and he's only standing on one leg. But your thoughts and your memories of the game.
Well, the first leg I was at, and I don't ever remember watching Celtic in a European tie. It shows you how far we went. We watched Celtic in a European tie, and on the kick-off, it was still daylight because it was nearly summertime. It was unbelievable. You're sitting there and you're going, how's the lights no one like about? It was weird, a European tie. But they were a really stuffy side. They weren't a footballing side. Celtic were the better team over the 2 legs. They deserved to get through. But Boa Vista they'd made an art of that, similar to Franny had alluded to earlier, similar to a Atletico Madrid team under Simeone. They got to Champions League, obviously a bit level up for that, but they'd got to like Champions League finals playing a similar way. But Celtic eventually won the day. Aye, he was, aye. But Celtic eventually won the day. They got the 1-1 draw at Parkhead. Again, it wasn't the positive result that you're looking for at home, especially against a team, Boavista's standing, if you like. But Henrik Larsson missed a penalty in that game. And if I thought that it was going to be our time in the Stuttgart leg, or in the Stuttgart tie, when Larsson missed that penalty, I thought this is the end of the road.
Aye.
We're playing. We're a better team than this team. You could see it clearly in the whole game. We outplayed them. They were probably, arguably, apart from Sedova, the worst team that we'd faced.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It was the semi-final. It was 1 each. Then we went over there, and they done the same again. They protected what they had, and listen, I think they knew they weren't as good a team as Celtic, and they were fully entitled to play that way. They had got a result at Parkhead that they didn't deserve, and they were entitled to protect that. Celtic tried and tried, they never quite got there. But then Henrik Larsson, Franny touched on it. It's on a CD that we bought at a Green Night. It was, the commentary was Peter Martin. People have probably heard it, and if you haven't heard it, go onto YouTube and type in Peter Martin, Boa Vista goal, Henrik
What
Larsson.
a commentator he is, by the way.
Unbelievable. Listen, by the way, he's good on that PLZ soccer as well. I quite enjoy watching him. Aye. But you could tell it came through in that commentary. It was a Celtic fan. It was like, what was it? Larsson into Hartson. Or Larsson into Sutton. And then it's back to Larsson. Goal. It's Henrik Larsson. It was unbelievable. The commentary is unbelievable. Absolutely outstanding. But I remember, it was like you've said, Wally, I'll not mention the guy's name again. I've said it enough times. We were in the same house again watching it, and my big pal, Andy Toner, he was a die-hard Celtic fan like all he is, and I managed to.
He was in the picture.
He was in the picture with me with George McCluskey.
That wasn't Peter Latchford.
That's funny,
when Larsson scores that goal, and he just bailed. He bailed out the room. He went into the kitchen. I'm going, come on, come back in. He's like, just tell me when the final whistle goes. I can't fucking look. He was pacing up in the kitchen.
That's what I was on about. Over the 2 legs, it was just pure anxiety for me.
Oh,
I never enjoyed a minute. Obviously, I enjoyed like 3 seconds after we scored, but other than that, it was just pure anxiety the whole time.
Oh, it definitely was. But listen, some people can watch it, some people can't. It's just the way you are. I had to watch it. It's similar to when, I don't like to talk about it, but when Rangers got to the final, was it last year or the season before? Some people couldn't watch it. I had to watch every single minute of it because
that's the most
I needed to. Aye,
it's the most sick I felt watching a football match.
Aye, that was so bad. But anyway, back to us. It was that similar sort of feeling. Whereas I had to watch it, I had to see what was going on. I couldn't be in another room and pace up and down and just tell me when it's over. I need to see what's happening in front of me. And like I think it was Franny had said there, we weren't. It wasn't like an onslaught because they weren't good enough, and they knew they weren't good enough to outplay Celtic. They tried. They've done it, as I've said. They've done it to most teams. They tried to nick a goal and then defend what they had, and they did manage to nick a goal in that first leg. All credit to them. But you've got a player like Henrik Larsson in your team. You're always the opponent is always under pressure, and the celebrations on the pitch that ensued when the final whistle went, incredible. Martin O'Neill, he deserved to get us to a European final because he came in at a time 5 or 6 years after Fergus McCann took us over, and we started to see us. We won a Scottish Cup, then we won the league, and you're thinking, right, okay, we can build on this. But then Rangers had a couple of seasons, maybe even 3, if I remember correctly, where they were spending ridiculous amounts of money. They brought Dick Advocaat in, but then Martin O'Neill came in, and he changed the full landscape of Celtic Football Club. Coupled, by the way, with a very good backing that not many Celtic managers have seen. But that changed the full landscape of Celtic when Martin O'Neill came in, and this is where we are now.
On the night shift tonight, Brown Warrior.
This is where we are now, and we're living the dream, and we lived the absolute dream then.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Tony, I'm half cut. Have I spoke to you about Bo Lisa yet, or is it your turn?
No, not yet. No, listen, old Brown Warrior said he was still on. You know, I'm not the biggest fan of long podcasts, Willie, but if you're going to go the full hog, you've got to do it when you're
got to come and touch you, mate. But that, I mean,
100%.
I mean, obviously the resounding memory of that is that goal by the King of Kings away for the air. I mean, how did he? Like I said, he's on one leg and it's his standing foot that he scores it with. How many players are doing that in world football? It's beyond physics.
Very few, mate. Probably even very few now. But that's how good a player he was. And fun enough, I don't know if my dad's still watching, but he always says his lasting image of Henrik isn't, his celebration after the 6-2 goal or anything else. That arms outstretched, scoring the winning goal to take us to the European final in Boa Vista. My dad always says that's his. Whenever he thinks of Henrik, that's the image he thinks of. And couldn't he ask for a more fitting player to get us to that European final? I'll not talk too much in the match. The boys have kind of elaborated on it very well, and I echo everything that they say. But it was just, and it was that kind of anxious sort of match itself. I remember I watched it down with another Rossmuir in Falklands that night. No Earl Ross, but cousin Ross, as we call him. I'm trying to remember. I think Andrew might have been out singing that night, so it was me and Ross just were watching it. And when Henrik scored, absolute bedlam, as you can imagine. But filled with 10 minutes of anxiety as well. And as Franny says, when you look back, Boa Vista didn't actually really threaten, but it's just that thought of, my God, we're so close now. We have to, surely nothing can take this away from us. But, and as Ross touched on, the after-match scenes were just absolutely really fitting for the kind of campaign that we'd had. And Neil Lennon on the documentary talks about it was like Beatlemania, walking back into the airport because there was Porto fans coming back for Lazio, who had obviously the other finalists that year. But yeah, you could say that. Celtic are, that they are the footballing equivalent of the Beatles for me. And the long and winding road ended in sunny Seville.
Brilliant.
Absolutely.
By the way, sorry, just
of course, jump in.
I know we're going to go on to the final, right? But I don't want to miss this out. Whatever you want to say about the BBC, right? They were really good in the build-up to that final, and I always remember. I don't know if it was. I can't remember the timescales, but it was building up to the final anyway, and they had the tops hanging on the hangers, and it was like Lambertino, Lenino, and just remember it, and it was like they were making out or like obviously that. European class, but
I can't remember that.
Aye, they done it. It was like a wee advert, and
name,
Lambert. No, they need to change his.
Just leave.
But it was brilliant. I can't remember exactly, but they sort of changed.
I remember it.
Aye, and we were the first ones in 33 years to get there. I think to a final, a European final. So they were milking it for everything it was worth, and I thought that was brilliant.
Absolutely, Joe P. I hope everything's okay, Hen. Really do. Thanks for coming back to us. Really, really do. So we're on to the final. I've been trying to get this video sorted for the end of it, but
he's got a video. He's got a video now.
No,
Are we doing another quiz here?
Yes, we are. So the
I think
I mean,
final
I
that's
is...
fucking
right.
won anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Aye, I'm hoping we're doing another quiz. I think we're
Right,
winning
chips
with
are in for another. Hold on, let me get in here. Let me get in the comments. I'm sorry, guys. I know I'm the worst host, but I'm trying to get.
No,
I've
no,
got
you're
about
no, you're
14 I've
fucking outstanding, kid.
got about 14 things going on here, and I'm trying to make sure. Right, final.
You've actually
We're on the final.
surpassed my Invincible one on Monday.
Expectations. No, we couldn't. I can't fucking surpass that.
Aye,
The information that went into
You're very
that.
good show, Ross. Very
I
good
did
show.
this in about an hour.
he's
I'm
beat
not
it.
going into yours fucking stuff. Right, Porto final. We're in Seville. Unbelievable. Here's a wee mini quiz beforehand. So, question. We got given the FIFA Fair Play Award. FIFA Fair Play? Was it Fair Play?
Yep.
The fans?
Aye.
But what was the estimated fans that travelled to Seville? Now, you've got a bit of a wide range here. I'm going to give you a bit of a wide range because it wasn't like, there's not like a definitive number, but there is a number there. So, how many fans travelled to Seville?
2, me and Ross.
Not me, because Pedro and Izzy made sure I had to go for my PE standard grade.
Aye, me too.
Nah,
Me too.
I was
By
there.
the way,
What a
The only
wise
reason-
decision that turned out to be.
the only fucking reason I wasn't there is because my parents made me go for my exams as well. There we
The only
go.
reason I was there is
Pays to
because
be-
I
pays
was
to be old,
a nugget. I was
Pays to
19.
be old, Ross.
All
Aye,
diet
pays to be
nice.
old, Ross.
All diet nose. Thank you, Pam. Guys, I really, really appreciate you all sticking with us. I know this is a long vlog, but I really, really appreciate it. The next question is this is actually there's an extra question in this.
Oh.
Name the 2 players that were sent off during the final.
What was there, 2, was there? I remember
Aye.
one.
Oh, what was his name?
There's one sent off very, very last minute.
I know.
Oh, I know.
Pedro.
I think I was
Calling me
too busy
Pedro
grieving
again.
by that point.
Oh my god, what the
Oh, what
fuck
was
was
his
his
name,
name?
man? Oh, I've got it.
Tell me.
Pam's my favourite. Pam,
Brazilian.
Pam, you're my favourite. Pam, I love you.
I've not got it. I don't got it.
I don't got it. Right,
Because Maloney fucked the free kick.
Ah, it was terrible.
Henrik Larsson scored a landmark goal in this final. What was that landmark goal?
Oh, got it.
Oh, hold on, I've got a picture for that. Buff.
What? By the way, has 2 headers in that game. I know we've got to come in there.
Yeah, we're going to
Thank
talk
you.
about that.
If I'm going to be really, really pernickety, and I might as well because I've had 4 pints, that wasn't the landmark goal.
No, I know it wasn't.
Why not?
I just said in
I'm
the
just
game.
being that annoying guy now.
You know I can remove you for this. I couldn't. You know what? I couldn't actually find a decent photo of the goal.
Near to that when I was sending them to John.
No,
Typed
it's
it.
mental.
Everyone, the only one I could
Mental,
get
innit?
was the ones like that for the second goal.
Aye, mental. Right.
Which is ironic because the first one I think's even better because the amount of time he spends in the air.
Aye. Aye.
Yes.
The only goals I could, the only
header.
pictures I could find of him was when he'd actually landed on his feet, and I wanted him in the air. Anyway, we're back to missing players, and I can't go with Celtic for the final. So we're looking for the
Oh,
3
yeah,
missing
yeah,
Porto
yeah.
players. So we're looking for the right back, the right centre mid, and the striker. That was non-existent.
Oh, he's fucking good to go. Scoring. Who was the other striker?
Patrick's got it. 200 and 201. You're right, bang on, mate.
I was getting the answers away before the.
I've got 2. I'll not get any more than that.
Ah, what was the striker?
Eh,
He was playing up front for them, man.
It's the truth, Pam. It is the truth. Right. Patrick McLaughlin is a fucking absolute fountain of knowledge, by the way. He knows
Is it?
everything about Celtic.
Oh, just come in
Absolutely
the comments
everything.
on funny.
Right, can I take this away yet? No?
Go for
Aye.
it.
Aye.
Ross?
I think so. Aye.
We're all back in the room. Remember the Little Britain sketch? Back in the room. You're all back in the room. Back in the room. Right. So the first question was, how many fans travelled to Seville? What we're looking at?
80,000.
I went 80 as well.
Tony. Oh,
That
Tony's
was
looking at
was the official figure given. They do say that they reckon there was more like 100, but I went with 80 just because I think that's
Aye.
always the figure that they give out.
the figure I looked at, and I looked at several outlets, and it was between 60 and 80. So you all get a point for that. Let me have a look at the comments. The comments involved. Yeah, a lot of being 80. Brown Warrior says 80. Well done, mate. Patrick McLaughlin. Mark Nugent says 100 million. Palms bang on 80k, but I think only 10 or 15 had a.
I was one of the 10.
Ross was
And
one of them.
Red Scotland's bang on 80,000, not one arrest. The second question was, name the 2 players that were sent off during the match. We all know this man was sent off.
Who?
Balletti. Was it Balletti?
No.
I said Manish.
Manish.
No.
Moscow.
No, I didn't say anything, but it wasn't any of the 2.
What did you say, Franny?
Balletti.
I can't give you that. Valente.
Like
the chippy.
So is it 2 points for that? But
Aye.
one if you get one of them.
Aye,
So we all
if
got
you
one
get
anyway.
both,
We all got one anyway.
Henrik Larsson scored a landmark goal in this final. What was that landmark goal?
European record.
200
goal.
200 goal.
200th goal.
Has 200th goal.
200 goal for Celtic.
Yeah, they get it.
Patrick McLaughlin. And then
Well,
there you go.
well, all I'm saying is I've got the right back rang in this gun.
Aye, have I?
Two herders in the final.
Heard
What was the last question? Missing players.
the team.
We had the right back, didn't we?
Well, I said Balletti, but clearly
Ferreira.
It can't be Balletti because he fucking wasn't playing.
No, Balletti didn't even play with him. It's Ferreira.
I know, but I guessed Balletti for player being sent off. So when I didn't see Balletti in the start lineup, I assumed he was right back.
Ferreira was right back. There's a shout there. I've no idea, Brown Warrior. Probably because he scored goals for fun, but oops. I wouldn't be surprised. Ferreira was the right back. We had the right centre mid.
Manish.
This plunge might not get in.
No,
You're about
Manish.
4 hours late plunge.
I wrote
Go
Manish.
Go back to 15 minutes and watch the video.
Aye.
Aye, definitely.
Because it's got to be banned for about 4 days, probably.
Aye. It is banned. That's what I was looking at when you were talking earlier. I was wanting to fire it up again, but it's already been banned.
No, John was
Yes, Brown Warrior.
It's already banned.
80k. Not one person drank for a toilet. Yeah, Manish was the midfielder.
Yep.
And we have the other striker that wasn't the goal scorer. Capuccio. Well done, troops.
I have overread it, Rank. I fucking want Deco.
Deco's
You did read it right. Franny always reads shit right.
Deco was in the fucking squad. He was
Clearly.
there.
Clearly.
He was the fucking striker.
I know.
I got a fault. No, I didn't. One.
So what was the scores on the doors? You need to get your full. What was the full scores?
21.
Just so I know who there was a winner in the quiz. Oh, Roscoe's got 25.
Yeah, I'm never going to be good.
We had the final.
17,
Tony,
18, 19,
your thoughts? You were like me.
What did you get, Ross?
We were just
You
just get it on.
26.
26.
We'll get to the scores. Tony, you were like me. Doing our exams at a time when my parents were just not fucking having it, which was the worst fucking thing in the world. But your memories, where were you? Where were you for the final? Your memories, your analysis of the game, cheating diving bastards. Go on yourself.
Aye. Well, like I say, I was sitting my PE exam that day, and I could just remember, like, it was like very early on in the day, maybe kind of 10, 11 o'clock, couldn't have been any later than 11. And you know what? Anyone that's done the PE exam will remember it was like all the old timer things, and it was like the blue graphic, and it was just time was ticking away when you had the amount of time left you had to do an answer. That clock for me was I just wanted it to be over, so I couldn't care less what I was going to get. I mean, let's be honest, I was hardly going to ever be a PE teacher. I just wanted up the road to get all set to watch the build up and hopefully see us win. And needless to say, of course, we didn't actually do it. But I think the greatest credit you can give the club that day was we belonged back on the stage. It was we ran a team that went on to win the Champions League as close as they possibly could. Jose Mourinho was just coming through at that time, but I wasn't there. I know you two guys were, but watching it and seeing it all, and you hear people's stories about it. It's this generation's Lisbon, and that generation's Lisbon. And you've got to think when we won the European Cup in '67, you watch that footage back. Air travel was not a big thing back then, and I think the estimate was between 12 and 15,000 Celtic fans in Lisbon, and I think everyone of that generation just wanted to reenact that, make it wasn't more like just going to watch your team and hoping for the best. It was like a pilgrimage almost, if that's the best way to describe it. But don't know about you boys, but I'm sure you guys would agree that supporting Celtic is so much more than getting your season ticket or buying the top or subscribing to Sky to watch a game. It's a community thing. It's a spiritual thing, and I think that generation of fans tried to reenact that in as best a way they could. And although we didn't win the match, but we came away with all these awards and recognition, and it was about recognising how good a support that we are and that we continue to be. And I certainly hope. I know it's pie in the sky dreaming, but 2002 doing what we did 20 years ago was pie in the sky dreaming. But you never know. Brendan's back at the helm. The finals in Dublin next year. What a 21st anniversary present that would be, wouldn't it? And you know what? I think if it was to happen this time, I think we'd come home with a cup.
Think so?
I think so.
Very difficult to say, but Franny, I mean, you and Ross had a totally different experience to me and Tony. Unfortunately, because of our age at the time and the parents we had, it just wasn't happening. My dad was all for it. My mother wasn't having it, unfortunately. And not that it mattered because the exam results weren't as expected. So, but Franny, your experience, unfortunately, obviously the result wasn't. It was never meant to be. But your experience, and I mean, both Henrik's goals. And by the way, he was never one that was nobody ever applauded his aerial ability. I mean, the guy had everything anyway. I mean, everybody talks about his goals, but his assists and his work rate and all the rest of it. But his ability in the air was so underrated, and he showed it in the final, didn't he?
Oh, totally. I mean, like you said, that first one, Agat's cross, like his hang time for that first one is unbelievable. His hang time for both of them are unbelievable. They're two great headers in their own right. And my experience of the game, as much as me and Ross were both over there, obviously Ross was one of the lucky ones that had a ticket. I didn't have a ticket, but I went over there. I watched it in the fan zone, which was brilliant. Randomly, I had a Batista up on, which I got a lot of love for, because obviously that was a local team there and things like that there. But
still fits you to this day, kid.
Still fits me to this day, kid.
What is it, a mother care 3 to 6 months number? Or
6 to 12. 6 to 12. Well,
is it a baby grow?
It's a nice top.
There's a button. There's a button at the gooch.
Yes. three of them. But I like it was just great being over there. But like my experience was absolutely. I could just remember like after the Boavista game, I think it was a day after. My Uncle Kevin, who's occasionally tunes into this, he phoned me up and asked me if I wanted to go to the game. So him and Manty, you would have got an A for
Thanks,
hosting.
mate.
Him and Manty had already had it planned out how they were getting there. And I mean, we flew from Edinburgh to Paris and then drove from Paris all the way down to Seville. And somehow, I say somehow managed to secure digs in Seville. Well, we're actually just talking about our trip when we're ready to book into, when we were checking in it to fly out to Paris. And then the women in front of us, obviously, was like, what he's up to? We're like, oh, we're just heading down to Seville for the final and stuff. And she was like, oh, that's where I'm going. She had a ticket. Her daughter, I think some of the local community, some of the locals had managed to secure tickets with being in Seville. And she was like, he's got accommodation. We're like, nah, we're winging it, essentially. We'll just drive down, see where we get to. And then she gave us her phone number, phoned her when we got to Seville, and managed to get digs in her place for 2 nights for about €40 or something. It was absolutely class. But so my trip to Seville will always be memorable for just driving for Paris and all the places we stopped on the way down there. But the day of the final, I can remember, like, as I say, had a barbecue on the girls' rooftop bar and stuff, the roof of our house and stuff. But it was just one of the days. It was, you came up against a proper top team, like you say. Mourinho's just come at the fore. How we soon realised how good a manager this guy was. You had top players like Deco, your Maniches, Elenichev and things like that. Derline was the top goal scorer in the tournament.
Which is mental, because you said Larsson scored in every round.
And Derline was the top goal scorer, I know.
Even though he missed 2 games.
Aye. So it was
Larsson,
just,
I mean.
you came up against a proper team that knew how. But I mean, there is the time wasting, the diving things. I think time for myself personally has been a wee bit a healer in that I understand that. They played the occasion. They obviously looked at the way Celtic play. We know Mourinho's a great tactician, and he would have knew that he needs to spoil the game as basic as much as his players were proper football, like Manish and Deco. Deco was a class football player, absolute class football player. So he had proper football.
Manish not go to Rangers, by the way.
Nah, I went to Barcelona.
I think he played by Rangers.
I didn't.
Or Capuccio played by Rangers.
Capuccio.
Aye, sorry.
No Capuccio, was it?
It was
Aye. He played by Rangers, sorry.
Aye, but was that the same guy? He was a right winger at Rangers.
Same guy,
Was it?
Same guy.
But they were a proper footballing team. But at the same token, Mourinho knew how to spoil a game and stuff. And as I say, time's been a wee bit of healer that I kind of understand that how they sort of managed their way through the game. Like I said, Larsson's 2 headers, absolutely brilliant. I mean, if ever a guy done everything in his power to try and win a game of football, it was Larsson that day. He'd done everything he could. I mean, it goes for the full team. The full team were brilliant that day.
I don't know if you've seen. Sorry, Franny. It's what's it called? See the thing where they go back and they look back on their shirts over the years and all the rest of it. And he says, I don't know if you've seen it.
So I think it BT Sport done.
And he talks about how he's actually to this day he's never watched the game back because he's like, I can't watch it. Aye,
I mean, it was brilliant that day.
You're bang on. If anybody, like, that guy deserved to win that and beyond, which he did afterwards. But that game, he should have won that game.
And then look at the influence he had on that Champions League. Set up the 2 goals.
But not just that final, mate. The whole tournament. You said yourself about the goals he scored.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody deserved to win the cup, it was him, wasn't it?
It was 2 seconds. I just did time off to say I went 2
no, it was class of full tournament, class that final. I mean, the whole team. I think Hartson. Was it Hartson or Sutton? It was one of the 2 of them were missing for the final. I think it was Hartson was missing for the final, and I think. I mean, I don't know. It's hindsight. Maybe we see a massive miss, but I think Bobo Baldy's sending off was obviously massive. And then I think when it went in extra time, playing with the 10 men just kind of taking its toll. Their third goal was a wee bit desperate defending when Rab Douglas kind of fell. wouldn't say he's found his cell in sort of no man's land, so to speak, but it just went out to try and stop the shot. It gets a wee bit on it, which inadvertently takes it away from Ulrich Larsson on the line, who just can't react appropriately to the deflection. But it's a hard game to watch because we put a lot,
man.
we put a lot in it. The play, you know, like you're going to any cup final, regardless of the magnitude of it. All you ask of your team is give 100% on the park. Just every player, leave everything on the park. And I think that's what hurts personally myself, probably hurts everybody else. Is we knew we gave every player that day gave everything they had, and we just didn't get the result that we thought we deserved. I mean, Porto probably deserved the result overall, but we just didn't get what we felt we did. We just didn't get what we deserved on the day, probably. And I think, like you say, when you play in a final, I say, regardless of the magnitude of it, you just want your team to give everything they have. Don't leave everything on the park, and every player did that day. And I think that's what kind of makes it hard to not necessarily accept the result, but I think that's what makes it harder to take the result, is the fact that every player left everything on the line. And like we touched on, Larsson, what he gave that day, it just felt like he deserved it.
Most definitely, mate. And Ross, finally I come to you. You obviously experienced it. You've taken it all in. Mega disappointing, but everybody's in there in the chat saying everything that we all think that Henrik put the team on his back, and if anybody ever deserved a medal, it was that guy. Not just in the final, but throughout the whole journey to the final. And for me, even though we lost that final, see that first goal, it's the most incredible. The ball's actually, and it's not just a standard header. The ball's actually, I don't know how he generates the power, because the ball's not there. But give us we've already heard a bit about how your journey to the final was, and your man that wrote the song and the tickets and all the rest of it. But give us a wee bit about your journey there, your memories, your thoughts, and your experience at the final.
Well, touching on, first of all, Henrik's goal, the first one, the header for the angle. I'm not just saying this because I've had a few beers and I'm a Celtic supporter and I'm a lover of Henrik Larsson, but I don't remember in my lifetime a better headed goal than that, and in a European final. I really don't. It was quite unbelievable how he, for that angle, generated that power to root Victor Bayer and find the far corner. It was quite unbelievable. Totally brilliant goal, and it was befitting a European final, and befitting a European final when Celtic were playing that. Okay, we came up short, I get that, but Henrik Larsson, as you said, Wally, done everything, absolutely everything in his power to win us that cup. He couldn't have done any more. And I would say, what's that?
Have you seen that, Ross? Have you seen the? I was talking to Franny about it. I don't know. I don't know if I can't mind who does it at BT Sport or whatever. But the day that look back at your career and they look through all your shirts and all the rest of it. I don't know if you've watched it. And Henrik did his. Oh, mate, you hate to watch this thing, man. And they go through it. So basically, the whole concept of the show is it's your shirts through. So it's like who you supported as a boy. You wore this shirt. You played for. So Henrik's case, it was Feyenoord. You wore this shirt. And you went to Celtic, you wore this shirt, and you pick your favourite shirts and all the rest of it. But they pick up this shirt in this cup final, and Henrik goes, "That's the best looking Celtic shirt I've ever been in, the one you're wearing right now." And he's like, and they talk about the final, and Henrik's like, he just shuts down. He's like, "I've never watched it. I've never watched it back since. I don't want to watch it. I hate it. I hate the fact we didn't win. We should have won that game."
Because as I said, he done everything in his power to win Celtic that cup. Everything. He couldn't have done any more. And by the way, what do you call it? John Hartson, had he been available,
Mhm.
it might have been a different story. Had Bobo Baldy not got sent off, it may well have been a different story. But
He
the
dives
reality
into
is,
Ross, isn't he? He doesn't need to dive
was a
in there.
crazy red card. When you're already on a booking, you know that you're walking the tightrope.
It's
But
not as if
at
he's
the
clean
same
on goal
time,
either. It's a
no, I
silly
know,
place to dive in, man.
but you look at it and you go, searing heat, a really mentally challenging game where we were down 1-0, we were down 2-1, and both times we came back due to the man we spoke about. It's mentally challenging. It's the top level. I know it's not the Champions League final, but that team went on to win the Champions League final the following year. Let's not forget that. And it's the top level players you're playing. Some of them went on to Chelsea and whatever teams. Do you know what I mean? Chelsea at the time, they're not the biggest club in the world, but at the time they were the club under Abramovich and that.
Yeah.
It was to run them as close as we did. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. They were a proper football team. And I don't know who said it. I seen a comment said football lost that day. It didn't. Celtic tried their best against a really good team, but that team were a really good footballing team. Had we lost to Boa Vista, football would have lost. Football didn't lose that night. Mourinho, at that point, wasn't a defensive manager. He had a lot of good players at his disposal. Chelsea, he went a bit more defensive, but he still had a lot of good players at his disposal. Down the years now, in his latter years, he is a defensive manager, but at the start, he absolutely wasn't. But to move for the game and talk about my actual experience of going there, it was something I'll never forget. And again, I'll allude to my pal's dad, Jim Docherty. He allowed that to happen for me. Had it not been for him, I wouldn't have went to that game and experienced it. I would have went over, but I wouldn't have had a ticket for the game. He provided that, and I can't thank that guy enough for that. But listen, we all had our different ways of travelling there. Franny got a flight to France, as he said, and then drove for there. I was lucky enough. I got a direct flight for Glasgow, and Glasgow Airport was... well, we've all been on holiday. We've all been on holiday. But you've never been in Glasgow Airport when it looked like this. It was... I turned up, got dropped off in the taxi, and I was... Where you get dropped off in the taxi was basically where I joined the queue to check in. It was ridiculous. And then eventually get checked in on the flight, got over, and our hotel was about an hour outside, about an hour away from the stadium, let's say. And when we arrived, it was the same again. It was like more queues, like going to Blink in Florida and trying to go on rides. It was more queues. We got into the hotel, tried to check in. You couldn't even get in the blinking door of the hotel. But when we got in the door, at the time, the First Lady of Celtic, Patricia Fairns, was playing all the Celtic songs in the foyer. And it was absolutely ecstatic. It made the queue so much easier. You just stood there, took it all in. We went out that night. We were an hour outside of Seville, so it wasn't quite like being in Seville, but we still went out and had a drink. The atmosphere wasn't quite there. We were on the outskirts, but we went in on the day of the game, went in, took it all in. We're in all the crowds, and there was, listen, people were, it was really, really hot. People were needing to take on fluids, but all the fluids we were taking on was beer. I was buying beer for vendors with wee fridges on the corners of streets with a wee brawler at the top of them. It was unbelievable. I went during the day and had a walk around about the stadium, took it all in, and I actually bumped into my Uncle Gary. Wasn't planned. My Uncle Gary was outside the stadium, bumped into him, had a really good conversation with him.
Sorry, just for context, is this the guy that took you to all the games when you were younger and
It is, aye.
Yeah,
When I
so
was,
just for
I was
context,
about,
everybody in
aye,
the
aye.
comments, like Ross's
Fair
dad's
was-
a Rangers man, and it was his uncle Gary that got him into Celtic and taking him to all the games and taking him into the jungle and all the rest of it when he was younger.
Right, that's the very man. He used to take me out. Fair was about 6 or 7 year old until I was about 12. He took me to any games. He had a season ticket with his pals. Any game there was a spare ticket, he took me. Brilliant. But actually, I knew he was going. Obviously, you keep in touch. But then we met each other outside the stadium. It was incredible, and I mean, I was pissed. He was pissed.
Shock horror.
Aye.
At least you
But
weren't
it was
causing
brilliant.
bother.
But then, listen, this might go on for a wee while, and I apologise, but
No,
it's
take
so
your
mate.
Take
Many
your time.
brilliant memories.
Mate, it's such an
You were there, mate. We
iconic
want to hear
moment.
this.
That's what you want to hear.
Aye. So I met him outside the stadium, and then again. And by the way, just for context, right?
Ross.
2 or 3 days before I went, right, I was playing fives, and I've rolled my ankle. God
Right.
bless Uncle Gary. Yes, I've rolled my ankle. I've rolled my ankle 2 or 3 days before I went to Seville, and at fives, and I've done my ligaments really bad to the point where I had the tuba grip and all that on. I couldn't walk. I limped about Seville in absolute agony, right? But I just kept going. It was like I'm no stopping. I was in a lot of pain, but I just kept drinking to fucking numb it and just kept going. But so I met him outside the stadium. It was brilliant. And then again, bit more detail. See, right? But I mean, honestly, what an experience it was. I'll never forget it. Never forget it. And then,
Same.
obviously, you come to the game at night. We all know what happened in the game. In terms of, so like I said earlier, after the montage and the song that we had,
What was the emotions during that?
Jim had got his tickets for it, and
know how you said how Jim said to the boy, if you write
Uncle
a song,
Gary.
I'll get you a ticket.
aye.
How did it all work? So did he play the song to you before you went to the game, or how did all that work?
I'm trying to remember. I don't think he played. I think that song came about after the game.
Right, okay.
If I remember right, I might be wrong in that. It's difficult to remember, but in terms of like, I had a ticket for the game. We got there and I'd been drinking all day. And the time we got into the game, it's obviously roasting, so you're looking for a drink of water. But you still went for beer, but I got beer, took it up to my seat. Stupidly, never got water. Had my couple of beers at the seat, and then I didn't want to leave the seat again because I didn't want to miss a minute of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But even at half time, it was like you walked in and I was like, there's no point. Can't even get near it. So I just went back up to the seat. But the Seville DVD, right? That's a story, right? So,
Dave Collins done that as well.
aye, well,
Yeah,
this is the story for Annie, right? This sticks a wee bit, right? So Jim had got his 17 tickets, right, for all the different folk that went, and we all had. We weren't at the same bit of the stadium. It was difficult, so we couldn't all get sitting. 17 guys couldn't get sitting together. So I was on my own sitting, but actually, my pal Dave Conley had took my ticket, right? And then I'd ended up with his ticket. And now, subsequently, Dave is on all the Seville DVDs at the end of the game with his dour face. And I'm like, that should be me there. That's my fucking seat. So anyway, the game happened. It was brilliant experience. We didn't get the win. Left the stadium, and it wasn't 5G and all that then. You know what I mean? You were trying to get in touch with your pals outside the
I don't
stadium.
think there was even 3G, sir.
Did you even have a Nokia 3320?
Ah, fuck knows. I don't even know what I had, but couldn't get in touch with anybody. Tried my best, but ended up that
I know that's what.
I'd met up with my mate Ryan. I met up with his brother who had got lost, and all his pals, and we just ended up staying out in the town or city, whatever it is, all night, and with a good laugh. But obviously, my hotel was an hour outside the stadium. Couldn't get back to it. Tried and tried and tried.
Oh, Jesus.
Could not get near it. So ended up sleeping on the Seville bus station floor with about 100 million other Celtic fans. And then my mate's dad they were going to go to Marbella for another 3 or 4 days. And two of my good pals, Andy and Dave, they'd managed to get back to the hotel, and they decided to go to Marbella along with my mate's dad and such like. But I was still lying in the bus station floor with a done an ankle, and I was like, listen guys, I can't do another 3 or 4 days. I need to get back to my mum. I'm in bed here. And so they were like, right, okay. So I was like, but I've no case, I've no clays, no passport or fuck all. So I had to get the boys to bring it out to me at Seville bus station, and then I made my way to the airport, and I got home myself with a couple of other guys. Listen, it was tough. We lost the game. It was tough. There was tough moments where I was wanting my pals, but I couldn't find them, and then I just embraced it. But it was one of the best experiences in my life, and I can't thank Jim Docherty enough for getting me a ticket for that game. And I was standing the camera angle that you see for the camera angle that you see for Henrik Larsson's header when he puts it back across Vitor Baia that is like the view I had for that goal. I was right behind Henrik Larsson when he headed that, and I'll never forget it as long as I live. Listen, I'm nearly 40 now. I might never see Celtic in a European final again, and it's similar to the guy that was behind me. He was about 60 to 65 years of age, standing behind me, and when the final whistle went, the guy broke down. He was inconsolable, and he was like, I was there in 67. I experienced it. Obviously, he was a young boy at the time, but he's like, and he leaned over me and he grabbed me from behind, and he went, I will never see this again in my life, and I wanted us to do it. We didn't quite do it, but what an experience. And I swapped scarves with a girl who was a Porto fan. It was an incredible experience. Absolutely incredible. And I'll never forget it as long as I live.
Absolutely, mate. Unbelievable. I mean, we didn't get the result that we wanted to, but what a journey and what a team. We'll never, ever see the likes of Henrik Larsson again. Unfortunately, I don't think. Not in our lifetime, in our generation anyway. And but in saying that, I don't think that it'll be the last time. I wouldn't say it'll be the last time we can ever see ourselves in a European final. I think that it's a possibility we can get there. I just want to go. I know there's a lot in the comments about Neil Lennon now. I don't understand quite why, but it's all about the abuse he got and mental health in general, which is kind of takes me on to my next point that I was wanting to take. I just want to see a few of the comments. Sorry. And I really, really appreciate. I mean, I said it earlier on. This is the end of the podcast. You'll all be thankful to know because we're nearly 4 hours in. But
loved it, Wally.
The kind of the community that we've built, and I noticed that obviously in Ross, your podcast about Rodgers' Invincible season, which was outstanding. So if you've not seen it, guys, go back and look at it. But there was a lot of chat in there, a lot of chat in there about mental health and how people are feeling low and all the rest of it. And I'm so happy that we've kind of built this community here. And it's happened tonight as well. There's guys and girls come in and they're very, very open about their well-being and how they're feeling at that moment in time. And also thank you to everybody else in the community that are coming back to these comments and saying how they feel about it and how their situation is. And like the community we've built, I can't extend enough how grateful I am. There's people in the chat, and if you need to talk about these things, talk about it. Tell us. Everybody's here, and this forum especially, I think that people are open to talking about their feelings, and they don't feel ashamed, and everybody else is coming back with very, very, very nice comments. And if they're not, they get punted out anyway. And I know all our guys, we've all suffered from it as well. I know for me, I've suffered from mental health very, very badly. So any of you guys want to send a private mail or all the rest of it, I'm sure all the guys are more than willing to listen. I really, really appreciate you all staying for us. We're fucking nearly 4 hours in. And there's guys that
Greatest night of my life.
I've stayed with us from start to finish. And we really, really appreciate you. So, I like to see you guys. Pam, Joe, I really hope, I know, Joe, you came in and said that you had a wee bit of family emergency. Hope everyone's okay. Just talk to us, man. Everybody's here. We'll all talk to you. And I wanted to, you know what, I really, really wanted to finish with the video that we started with. But when you were all talking, because I'm like proper tech guy now, I was trying to listen, look, here we go. I love you guys. Love you all. Talk to us. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for staying with us. And I wanted to finish with the video we started with. And like I said, I'm a tech guy, obviously. So when you were all talking, I was like, I'm going to log in, I'm going to do this. UEFA have taken it down. I'm saying, no.
But
or something.
They've actually taken it down.
Yeah.
So this live thing tonight will probably not get shown for a few.
No, but I've got it on my phone. I can show this on my phone.
Right.
So what I'm going to do, right? How do I do this? As close as I can.
Up,
I'm going to put it right up. I'm going to turn it up. I'm going to put the so fuck you, YouTube, right? I'm going to put this video right up.
I've got a horse outside.
I'm going to put my mic up to it. I'm going to try and play it again. I hope it shows as well as it's not going to show as well as it did the first time round. But I'm going to show it again. I'm going to take my mic. I'm going to put it right up to it. I'm going to put it on the phone. And Franny, I need you. Fucking hell, man. This is a disgrace of a podcast, by the way.
Not at all.
How do you... Is that shown well enough?
Yeah,
put it closer. A wee bit closer.
I will. Right, I'll show it closer. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us. Franny, you need to end broadcast.
Right, sound, mate.
As soon as I finish this, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to try my best to show this if we can. Love yous. Hail, hail.
Be the manager here. I'm telling you that now. It's an absolute honor. Honestly, it is an honor. And at the end of the day, I will do everything I possibly can to bring some success here.
Together we stand, together we fall. They came and they tried, we took them all. And now here I go, in green and white sombrero. Adios, Mariel, with the sunshine in Seville. Buenos dias, amigo. When the bars go, we follow. Can you feel the thrill? You're moving in for the kill. Senoritas and vino. Dancing instead fandango. Far away from the chill. Sunshine in Seville.
Love you too, fam.
Said that the dream was over and gone. Again and again, prove them all wrong. The green, white, and gold flies proudly still, and always will, like sunshine in Seville. When it's Dios amigo, where the bars go we follow. You feel the thrill, moving in for the kill. Senoritas and vino, dancing instead fandango. Far away from the chill, sunshine in Seville. Green, white, and gold flies proudly still, and always will, like sunshine in Seville.
Love yous. Hail, hail.